Good morning, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV. We are here to bring you live coverage of the Athena Moon landing. The Athena is a privately built by a private company, Lunar lander, that is being funded in part by NASA. And NASA has hired some private companies to put lunar landers on the moon in the preparation for putting American astronauts on the moon. Actually, there was, I believe it was Sunday, a separate private company lunar lander landed on the moon on Sunday. And this would be the second one in a week. So we're going to have updates, and we're going to actually have the live video coverage from NASA, which is going to start, I think, in about less than an hour. So you can see we have the countdown clock there. The landing is expected in an hour and 53 minutes or so. And then I think the last hour of that, NASA will have live coverage, which we will have for you. And then I think maybe about 20 minutes, NASA is supposed to start doing some more updates on its website. So no, this is not an Elon Musk project. This is a different project. So we're going to cover this and take your comments and questions while we cover it and see what happens. Hopefully it works. And I appreciate you guys being with us today. And thanks to our moderators, we have Janet B. and Ruth Krafasi and Carms over there on YouTube. Thank you. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X. And we have Matthew Kohai 3, McBritches, and Surly Dev over there on Twitch moderating. Thank you. Speaking of Twitch, thanks to Red Eye Shell for subscribing. Red Eye Shell says will be exciting to see it live. We will have the live NASA coverage for you coming up. And let's see here. Hang on a second here. Thanks to all our Facebook moderators too. Thanks to Marie Goodson Hamilton for for subscribing on Facebook, and all of our other Facebook viewers, including people like Andrea Benavides, Christy Claft, Alicia Stone, and Karen Brunson Howenstein. So in a second, I'm going to give you some background on this lunar lander. Dark Cloud says, get your moon bucks from that ATM. Pascal Walsweir is watching from Holland. Thank you. Also, thank you, Sneezing Eagle, for your support from the UK. That's really nice of you, Sneezing Eagle. Thank you. And thanks to our member, Carms. All right, let's talk a little bit about this. You can see NASA sets coverage for Intuitive Machines' second private moon landing. See? And what you see here is it says Intuitive Machines IM-2 mission, lunar lander, Athena entering lunar orbit on Monday, March 3rd. So I was reading that this lunar lander has been orbiting the moon for several days, and it's waiting for the sun to basically come up at the part of the moon. It's going to land near the south pole of the moon. And what I was reading is that it's waiting for the sun to come up around the place where it's going to land, because that way, that's what's going to power it. It's going to use the sun to power itself. So I believe it's going to do about, I think, something like 39 orbits around the moon before actually landing. But it's supposed to land in an hour and 50 minutes. Yes, Truth WSYF says getting ready for the Artemis missions. So NASA says carrying NASA technology demonstrations and science investigations, Intuitive Machines, which is a private company, is targeting their moon landing no earlier than 12:32 p.m. EST. That's the estimate. I know it says no earlier, but everything I've seen says. I don't think they're expecting it to land 2 hours after that or anything. From what I understand, that's the estimated time. The company's Nova C lunar lander is slated to land in Mons Mouton, a lunar plateau near the moon's south pole, as part of NASA's CLPS, Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative, and Artemis campaign to establish a long-term moon presence. So the idea is that these private lunar landers, which NASA is backing, are supposed to help establish a long-term moon presence and help eventually bring astronauts to the moon, and also allow them to stay on the moon. So an important thing that this lunar lander, I guess, is going to do is look for water near the south pole of the moon. So we're going to have this live coverage starting no earlier than 11:30 a.m. and then they're going to have blog updates on their website. I'll be checking that out. I don't think we're going to stick around for the news conference after this because that doesn't happen until like 4 p.m. And I think we'll be covering other news. That's going to be a little long. Yeah, 11:30 a.m. landing coverage begins on NASA. We'll have that for you. And then 12:32 p.m. landing. Daniel says private companies thriving. This is what it feels to like to have a real president in charge. Well, this company was working on this way before a month ago. I don't know when they got hired, but I can guarantee you they got hired way before January 20th of this year. Science Evolved says filmed on location where? No, it's really going to land on the moon or attempt to land on the moon, on the real moon. TK says I had a hard time launching a model rocket with my son. John Knowledge said Blue Ghost film shows monolith in crater. Blue Ghost is the company. No, Blue Ghost is the other lander by a different private company, which landed on Sunday on the moon. This is not Elon Musk. This is not Jeff Bezos. This is different. Hey, let me read you a little more here. This is just a short article from NASA. The IM-2 mission, this mission launched at 7:16 p.m. on February 22nd on a SpaceX. Well, actually, there is a bit of an Elon Musk connection here, I should say. It did launch on a SpaceX rocket. So the rocket that was used to get the lander into space was a SpaceX rocket. So there, I stand corrected. It was launched on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The lander is carrying NASA technology that will measure the potential presence of resources from lunar soil, like water, that could be extracted and used by future explorers to produce fuel or breathable oxygen on the moon. In addition, a passive laser retroflector array on the top deck of the lander will bounce laser light back at any orbiting or incoming spacecraft to give future spacecraft a permanent reference point on the lunar surface. Also, other technologies on this delivery will demonstrate a robust cellular network to help future astronauts communicate, cell service on the moon, and deploy a propulsive drone that can hop across the lunar surface to navigate its challenging terrain. NASA continues to work with multiple American companies, private companies, to deliver technology and science to the moon's surface through the agency's CLPS initiative. This pool of companies, like Intuitive Machines, may bid on contracts for end-to-end lunar delivery services, including payload integration and operations, launching from Earth and landing on the surface of the moon. Okay, the agency awarded Intuitive Machines the contract to send NASA science investigations and technology demonstrations to the moon using its American-designed and manufactured lunar lander for approximately $62.5 million. Okay. Through the Artemis campaign, commercial robotic deliveries will test technologies, perform science experiments, and demonstrate capabilities on and around the moon to help NASA explore in advance of Artemis generation astronaut missions to the lunar surface and ultimately crewed missions to Mars. So this lunar lander is supposed to help NASA eventually get astronauts on the moon and then get them to Mars. You can see IM-2, Wikipedia. IM-2 is an ongoing lunar mission conducted by Intuitive Machines for NASA's CLPS program utilizing a Nova-C lunar lander. The lander, named Athena, planned to land today, was designed to investigate the presence and quantity of lunar water ice using Prime 1, a payload consisting of a drill and a mass spectrometer. It's going to drill into the moon. That is from Wikipedia. Also, Athena carries the Micro-Nova Hopper, named Grace, a drone equipped with a neutron spectrometer to explore the permanently shadowed region of the nearby Marston crater. The mission aims to provide the first surface measurement of hydrogen in the permanently shadowed region, an essential indicator of water. Jim Leahy says, drill, baby, drill. We're going to have live coverage of this moon landing. Jack's Animals says, hoping for a successful landing. Exciting times. Let's see here. You know, it was a while. I think it was 2024 when I think we covered it. Didn't Intuitive Machines have a lander attempt a landing in 2024, which I think was the U.S.'s and America's first time back to the moon since maybe, was it Apollo? I have to look this up. Kenneth Colton says, yes, they did. Yes. So, for example, I'm looking at this PBS article. I'm looking at a PBS article from, no, it's an AP article, actually. Oh, no, I have it right here. I can show you the article. Look. I'll show you. So this was from 4 days ago. This article from AP. But if you look here, it says, where is it here? Intuitive Machines lander. This was 2024, I think. Yes. Last year, Intuitive Machines lander, which broke a leg and tipped over, put the U.S. back on the moon for the first time since NASA astronauts closed out the Apollo program in 1972. And then on Sunday, you can see here it says private lunar lander Blue Ghost aces moon touchdown with a special delivery for NASA. Look at that photo right there. Private lunar lander Blue Ghost's shadow is seen on the moon's surface after touching down on the moon with a special delivery for NASA. I should download that photo so I can make it bigger and show you. I got some other photos here. Let me download these. Give me a moment here. Hang on. I'm downloading these so we can get you a better shot of them. I got them. I got them. Okay, hang on. So again, we are here covering the... Now I know that says Blue Ghost, but we're here covering this. Oh, hold on a second here. This is from the NASA website via Wiki. Let me go to NASA website too. Hold on. Where is multimedia? I need to find, where's the one I'd like to show you the one from, there's so many there. Where did I get the one that's in our thumbnail? That's a NASA image. I won't wait too long here. Where is it here? Images? Images and videos. Anyways. Ooh. Yes, here it is. I got it. I got one of them. Okay, so that's the Nova C lunar lander. That's the first one. IM-1, the first commercial launch program services launch for Intuitive Machines Nova C lunar lander. That was the one that they launched last year. And the one today is it's also a Nova C lunar lander, but it's mission IM-2. So that's what it looks like, basically. Maybe it's a bit different, I'm not sure, but that's the general idea of what it looks like. And then, where is... No, Robert Parker says, I thought it landed like a week ago. No, the one that landed a week ago is this one you're looking at right here. Private lunar lander, Blue Ghost, Aces, moon touchdown with a special delivery for NASA. This was the one a week ago. This was the one on Sunday. All right, so in about half an hour, we are going to have the NASA live stream coverage of the Athena lunar lander moon landing, which will be the second private lunar lander backed by NASA to land on the moon in a week. And these lunar landers are doing experiments and trying out technology that's going to help NASA eventually put astronauts back on the moon and send them to Mars, they hope. So we're going to have the NASA live feed coverage for you. That's coming up. And the landing itself is estimated in about an hour and 35 minutes. Eternally Grapefruit says, wonder why they chose to name after goddess of war. I wonder if it says here, the lander named Athena. That sounds like a job for maybe AI. If I ask AI, is it going to tell me? Let's see. Will ChatGPT know? All ChatGPT said is that the Athena lunar lander is likely named after the Greek goddess Athena, who symbolizes wisdom, strategy, and warfare. Athena was often associated with intelligence, innovation, and exploration. Yes, Black Sheep Actual said she's also the goddess of wisdom. Maybe that's what it is. Okay. All right, we have an hour and 34 minutes till landing, about an hour, about a half hour until we get the that live feed. Hey, thanks, Logan Explorers. I saw that, Logan Explorers. I'll look at it. Yeah, this account I follow called Alert. Where is it? What is it here? Alert page said that in Scarborough, Maine, there was a gas leak at a school and multiple students were having respiratory issues. I'll keep an eye on it. You know, that kind of incident where you have some kind of substance leaking and people have respiratory issues, it's not that uncommon. So I will certainly keep an eye on it, but I'm not planning on doing a coverage of it right now. But if I hear it's more serious, let me see if I can find more here. But you know, I'll keep you posted. But it's a school in Scarborough, Maine, where there was maybe a gas leak. So thank you, Logan Explorers. I hope everybody's okay. I'll certainly keep an eye out for it. I don't have much information on it right now. Thanks also to Kevin L., our member, Janet B., our member, Illumin, our member, Christopher Anderson. Thanks for the gift memberships, Christopher. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Civlap says, why private? Surely NASA has the budget. So NASA is backing these landers, but it has a specific program it uses. It's not actually building the lunar landers themselves. You can see commercial lunar payload services. NASA is working with several American companies to deliver science and technology to the lunar surface through the Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative. These companies bid on delivering payloads for NASA. Okay? So as to why they're doing this, I assume they think this will work better for them, maybe save money, than making it themselves. Wikipedia says CLPS is a NASA program to hire companies to send small robotic landers and rovers to the moon. Most landing sites are near the lunar South Pole, where they will scout for lunar resources, test resource utilization concepts, and perform lunar science to support the Artemis lunar program. Let's see. I was trying to find an explanation of the CLPS program. Look, right here, Wikipedia says the competitive nature of the CLPS program, where multiple companies are, building these landers and competing to win this business from NASA. The competitive nature of the CLPS program is expected to reduce the cost of lunar exploration, accelerate a robotic return to the moon, accelerate a robotic return up to the moon, sample return, resource prospecting in the South Polar region, and promote innovation and growth of related commercial industries. There is your reasoning for the program. But a good question. Have they let me just see if have they posted on their website. Let's see. Oh, hold on. I have an update for you guys here from NASA. They posted a short while ago. Intuitive Machines completes descent orbit insertion. And again, in about a half an hour, NASA is going to start their live stream, and we will have live coverage for you. After successfully completing descent orbit insertion at 4:33 a.m. Central Time Thursday, Intuitive Machines flight controllers are gathering data and checking the lander's landing systems for accuracy ahead of landing on the lunar surface for its IM-2 mission. The updated landing time is, they updated the landing time. It's 2 minutes earlier. It's 12:30 p.m. Eastern, so I have to update my clock. I'm sure NASA will have a countdown clock when they come live, so I'll get rid of my clock then. But I think they just took 2 minutes off. It's 2 minutes earlier now. So I need to update my clock now. I just updated it. As part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative and Artemis campaign, NASA is sending science and technology instruments, including a drill and mass spectrometer and a passive laser retroreflector array on the top deck of the lander, in addition to our 2 commercial technology demonstrations funded by NASA's Tipping Point Initiative. So again, we're going to have live coverage of this for you. We are doing live coverage, but we're going to have the live video coverage when they start their stream. It launched on, I was just reading that before. Where is it here? On February 26th. February 26th, about a week ago, a little over a week ago. All right, give me one moment here, everyone. One moment, please. That guy from that thing says huge space day. Yes, we're planning on covering later today, early this evening. I think around 6:30 p.m. or so, 6. I don't know what time we'll come on the air. SpaceX. Oh, wait. Yeah, the Starship launch is scheduled. The launch window for the Starship launch is scheduled to open at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So probably going to do a stream about that as well. We tried to cover that a couple nights ago, and in the last minute, the launch got scrubbed. So my plan is to cover that as well. Hey, quick thanks to Laura Nolan for our member, and also Black Sheep Actual. Thanks for the gift memberships. That's so nice of you. Also, thanks to Pogo Bukin for the bits, and C50 Pack for subscribing. And shout out to our moderators. We got Ruth Krafasi, Janet B. over on YouTube, moderating over there. We have Carms as moderating. Thank you. Over there on Twitch, I got that fire, Matthew Kohai 3 Surly Dev. And thanks to all of our Facebook mods, and also Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X. And thanks to Eric Johnson, our member. Thank you, Eric. Give me one moment here. Oh, here's a picture, by the way, of the of the Nova. That's the lunar lander right there. That's from Reuters. That's the lunar lander. That is what's going to be landing today. Hopefully successfully. In about 20 minutes, we should have the NASA live feed. Now, Concat says, is NASA going to use live footage or animation coverage? I honestly don't know. There was a bunch of animation based on real-time data in the coverage on Sunday of the other private lunar lander, the Blue Ghost. So my assumption is that they'll do that, but I'm not sure. Maybe they'll get some photos or videos. I don't know. We'll have to see. Oh, thanks also. PZ Papa Zulu, thanks so much. PZ Papa Zulu has given so many people gift memberships. So nice of PZ Papa Zulu. Just gave 10 of you gift memberships. Thank you. Make sure you thank somebody if they give you a gift membership or a gift subscription. So this is an article that came out from Reuters just before it launched. Launched on February 26th. And you can see it says, the lander is expected to land near the moon's south pole in the vicinity of the Shackleton crater and will drill into the surface to search for water, ice, and other gases. Intuitive Machines made history in February of last year by becoming the first private company ever and the first NASA CLPS mission to touch down on the moon. However, that mission last year was only partially successful as the spacecraft tipped sideways shortly after landing on the lunar surface. Still, the company was able to maintain communication with the lander, which it described as alive and well. This is interesting. The last sentence of this article says, this mission comes at a time when NASA's lunar moon exploration plans are clouded with uncertainty after 4 key senior officials of its flagship moon program left the space agency amid the growing influence of SpaceX founder Elon Musk, who advocates for prioritizing missions to Mars. But again, there is the lunar lander right there. And I was going to mention this is the right here is a story from the private lunar lander Blue Ghost, which is backed by NASA, which landed on Sunday. The Athena is close to the moon now. It launched back on February 26th, so it's orbiting the moon. Actually, I think it might be below orbit now, because the last update we got is that Intuitive Machines completes descent orbit insertion. So, have they updated this page yet? No, that's the last update. Austin Batman says Blue Ghost has sent back some amazing photos. I think I have one I can show you right here. Give me one quick moment here. One quick moment. I'm going to pull up a photo for you. Okay, where is it here? Why can't I see that one? Here. All right, so this photo right here is private lunar lander Blue Ghost's shadow is seen on the moon surface after touching down on the moon, and that was Sunday. That's Sunday. That's a different lunar lander from a different private company, also backed by NASA. What else do I have here? Why can't I give you the next photo? Let's see here. Let's try this again. Ooh. Now this one is... This image provided by Firefly Aerospace, which is the company that makes the Blue Ghost lander, shows Blue Ghost lunar lander orbiting the moon. So that was just, this was February 26th, before it landed. That was the Blue Ghost lunar lander orbiting the moon. Something similar is going to happen today with the Athena lunar lander. And then... let me show you another picture here. That's the Blue Ghost lunar lander. And then this was, again, these are AP photos that I'm showing you. This was a photo from Blue Ghost after touching down on the moon, right there. See, it says first lunar image. And that was Sunday. So maybe we'll get some more pictures like this today, but from, I don't know, but from this lunar lander, from Athena. Let me just check here. Yeah, NASA has not yet started their broadcast. As soon as they start, we will go to the NASA live stream. It's supposed to start in about 17 minutes until the NASA live stream starts. We will be bringing that live to you. Look, private company rockets toward the moon in the latest rush of lunar landing attempts. This was from a few days ago. Truth WSYF says, what a time to be alive. Antidot says, Blue Ghost took fantastic images. You can see here, look at this. This is from Associated Press. A private company launched, this was from last week. Intuitive Machines lander named Athena caught a lift with SpaceX from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. Oh, that's actually a photo of the launch right there, when it launched, right there. It's taking a fast track to the moon with a landing today. While hoping to avoid the fate of its predecessor, which tipped over a touchdown. Never before have so many spacecraft angled for the moon's surface all at once. Last month, U.S. and Japanese companies shared a rocket and separately launched landers towards the moon. Texas-based Firefly Aerospace already got there on Sunday. The two U.S. landers, the Blue Ghost, which already landed, and the one today, are carrying tens of millions of dollars worth of experiments for NASA as it prepares to return astronauts to the moon. Last year, the Intuitive Machines made the first U.S. touchdown on the moon in more than 50 years, but an instrument that gauges distance did not work, and the lander came down too hard and broke a leg, tipping onto its side. Intuitive Machines says it has fixed the issue and dozens of others. A sideways landing like last time would prevent the drone and a pair of rovers from moving out. NASA's drill also needs an upright landing to pierce beneath the lunar surface to gather soil samples for analysis. Only 5 countries ever have pulled off a lunar landing: Russia, the US, China, India, and Japan. The moon is littered with wreckage from many past failures. The 15-foot Athena lander will target a landing 100 miles from the lunar South Pole. Just a quarter mile away is a permanently shadowed crater. the ultimate destination for the drone from the lander named Grace. That 3-foot drone will make increasingly higher and longer test hops across the lunar surface using hydrazine-fueled thrusters for flight and cameras and lasers for navigation. If those excursions go well, it will hop into the nearby pitch-black crater, an estimated 65 feet deep. Science instruments from Hungary and Germany will take measurements at the bottom while hunting for frozen water. It will be the first up-close peek inside one of the many shadowed craters dotting both the North and South poles. Scientists suspect that these craters are packed with tons of ice. If so, this ice could be transformed by future explorers into water to drink, air to breathe, and even rocket fuel. NASA is paying $62 million to Intuitive Machines to get its drill and other experiments to the moon. The company, in turn, sold space on the lander to others. All right, very shortly we'll have the NASA live stream for the last hour of the landing. Get ready. There it is. There again, there's the image. There's a picture of the lander right there. Rascally Rabbit says, no water, no man. One of our viewers said NASA Twitch just went live. Let me just check here something. Give me a moment. Give me a moment here. So NASA is technically live, but the stream hasn't started. The broadcast has not started yet. They have a graphic that says Intuitive Machines 2 Lunar Landing, but it's not live yet. As soon as they go live, yes, they're supposed to go live at basically 11:30 Eastern time in about 11 minutes, and we will have the broadcast for you then. Because then Reuters will start showing it. Thank you, by the way, to Platypus, who said there's a rocket launch in 10 minutes from French Guiana. There's a launch of Europe's Ariane 6 heavy rocket. I think I actually have footage of that, but I don't want to necessarily. If I can show it right as it's going to happen, I don't want to necessarily. It might be a little confusing to start focusing on that. Let me see. Is there a countdown for that? I can throw it on the screen. Oh, 4 minutes. Okay. So there's another rocket launch that we can watch because I have the footage of it. That maybe I'll throw up there in a second. I guess it's about 4 minutes away. So it's a different launch. It has nothing to do with what we're covering, but maybe we'll show it anyway. Okay, so let me just throw this on the screen, just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to throw it on the screen real quick. Okay, what you're looking at here, oops, I need to do something here. Let me get myself over to the other side. Uh-oh, I can't do that right now. All right, so what you're looking at there is a... I'm going to shrink this a little bit just because it's it'll make things easier. Sorry, let me shrink this because I got to have the credit on the screen and you can't see the bottom. And so what you're looking at here has nothing to do with the lunar lander. But what it is that is Europe's Ariane 6 heavy rocket. This is the first commercial operational launch of Europe's Ariane 6 heavy rocket designed to carry a French military observation satellite to orbit. And this is supposed to happen in about 2 minutes. So while we're waiting for the coverage of the lunar lander to start in about 8 minutes, let's watch this rocket launch. Thanks to our viewer for mentioning it. I really know nothing about this. I just, again, a viewer mentioned that this was going on, and I said, oh, we have footage of it. I'll try to get you a little background in like the 1 minute I have left. Europe's new rocket Ariane 6. That's what this is. I don't even know where it's launching from. In about, I think, a minute, it's going to just launch. I don't even have a count. Well, I think online there was a countdown clock somewhere. But anyways, just keep watching for like I think a minute or two, and it's going to launch. Oh, is this the second launch ever? Yeah, this is the second launch ever of this Ariane 6 rocket developed by the European Space Agency. So we'll watch this just to do it. This is the first, French Guiana is where this is. French Guiana. It's the first commercially operational launch of this heavy rocket. So again, we're just showing you because I have the footage and it's a space thing and we're waiting for the other feed to start from NASA, which is going to be in about 6 minutes. I just heard something, guys. I just heard something.
Top à 0 moins 1 minute.
Did somebody translate? What did he say? He said 1 minute. Our viewer said he said 1 minute. Okay. And after this launch, then I think the NASA coverage of the moon landing thing is going to start. All right, so we're just watching this to watch it. This is live. This is live. This is a live European rocket launch from French Guiana. The Ariane 6 Europe.
Attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Allumage de ESR et décollage.
There it is. Wow. This is a live rocket launch of a European rocket. Europe's Ariane 6 rocket. This is bonus coverage. You're getting bonus coverage. I guess that's all we got. Is that it? It seemed to work. Again, this is footage. This is just bonus coverage. Oh, there you go. Again, this is bonus coverage while we're waiting for the NASA stream covering the Athena moon landing. We're showing you this is the Ariane 6 European Space Agency rocket. This is its first commercially operational launch.
Pilotage calme, trajectoire nominale, paramètres à bord nominaux.
The NASA stream is supposed to start in about 3.5 minutes. So enjoy this rocket launch from Arianespace. Kind of cool.
La propulsion est nominale.
Wikipedia says the Ariane 6 program has faced controversy over high costs and lack of reusability versus competitors' rockets such as SpaceX Falcon 9. European officials defend the program, saying it provides crucial independent space access for its member states.
Pilotage calme.
Anyways, we got a bonus launch today. Thanks to the viewer for mentioning it. I appreciate that. Bonus launch. Bonus coverage. Hey, thanks to GizmoNet for your support.
Propulsion nominale.
Who says, would it not be better if they... Why do they choose... He's asking about why they choose new places on the moon.
Séparation des ESR.
And says... Wouldn't it be better if they recycle whatever they send there? Well, I think eventually, GizmoNet, I think eventually there's a goal of establishing a more long-term presence on the moon. Like the lander today is going to dig for water. Oh, look at that! Look what we just saw. This is live, by the way, on the screen. This European rocket. So GizmoNet, the idea is for there to be a longer-term presence on the moon. And hopefully today's Moonlander experiments can help with that. Be drilling, looking for water. Thanks also, Crypto King, for your support.
La propulsion est nominale.
All right, in about a minute and a half, NASA should start their stream of the lunar lander. So we'll go to that. We're just giving you this bonus coverage here. Bonus coverage. The Ariane 6, if I'm pronouncing that right, European Space Agency rocket. First commercially operational launch.
Pilotage calme.
Charlie says space is so exciting.
Trajectoire nominale.
All right, the NASA thing is about to start. So, as soon as the NASA thing starts, Reuters should have it, and then I will show it to you. So, give me a moment. I got my eyes on the NASA live event. I'm going to get that up on the screen next. So thanks for your patience. I'm literally looking at the NASA thing. Any moment now, the NASA stream should start. Up, another piece came off. I assume that's intentional. That's the Ariane 6 rocket.
Trajectoire nominale.
NASA stream has not begun their coverage yet.
La propulsion est nominale.
Fairing. Our viewers Corey and Nathan said that was fairing separation.
Les paramètres à bord sont
Okay,
nominaux.
all right. So I am seeing the NASA stream is starting now, and in a moment I should have it from Reuters. I have to wait till Reuters goes to the stream. NASA's doing their little intro right now. So in a moment, we will have, as soon as Reuters actually starts showing it, which will be any moment now, I will go to it. So any moment now, we will have
Propulsion nominale.
the
Pilotage calme.
live stream from NASA. In the meantime, we're showing you this European rocket launch.
Tous les paramètres
I'm
à
gonna
bord sont
message that.
nominaux. Le pilotage est calme.
Okay, and again, any moment now, NASA just started their stream. Any moment now, I'll have the Reuters coverage for you. I'm sorry for the delay. By the way, thanks so much to Fred Witherow for your support. I really appreciate it, Fred Witherow. So I have my eyes on it. As soon as I can cut to, I have to wait a second to cut to the NASA stream, but I will. So just give me a moment.
Pilotage calme.
Give me a moment. Thanks for your patience. I'm waiting for Reuters to start their feed.
Paramètres à bord nominaux.
Oh, I have another one I can show you too in the meantime. Give me a moment here. I'll have it for you in 30 seconds. The NASA feed. Okay? AFP has it too.
Extinction Vulcain.
I am getting the NASA feed on the screen for you. I'm getting it on the screen for you. We're going to go away from this. We're going away from this. We're going away from this, and we're going to go to the NASA stream. Here it is. Here is the NASA stream. I'm putting it on the screen for you right now. Thanks for your patience. I got it.
The Lone Star Flight Museum, waiting for Athena's final engine burn to the surface.
Now that DOI, or descent orbit insertion, is complete, Athena is operating autonomously, but flight controllers still have the option to make some adjustments. The lander is expected to coast from 100 kilometers above the surface down to about 10 kilometers, and then she's expected to fire her main engine for powered descent. That's one final engine burn all the way through to touchdown.
And Leah, we have made some late changes to PDI's profile to accommodate for some uncertain variability with recent landing measurements. We now expect PDI pitchover to happen about 450 meters above the lunar surface versus the originally planned 400 meters. We're doing this to allow a little extra time for flight controllers to confirm and manually screen altitude measurements before ingesting those measurements into the navigation filter. We do have additional navigation aids on this flight that were not available to us back in our first mission for IM-1. Now let's take another look back inside of Nova Control. Our mission and activity directors are sitting at the top left of your screen, and they're supported by about a dozen additional flight controllers surrounding them in this circular mission control operations center. It will take the entire team, including a dozen backroom support staff, to land Athena today, Leah.
If we receive confirmation that Athena has touched down, the lander will go through several measures to make sure its liquid methane and liquid oxygen engine is safe. And then flight controllers will prioritize vehicle health data before sending images, approximately 2 hours after landing.
And right now, flight controllers are monitoring Athena's health and trajectory ahead of her autonomous landing sequence. That begins with powered descent initiation at approximately 11:16 a.m. Central Time for a landing at approximately 11:30 a.m. Central. From this angle, you can see a large monitor on the wall inside of Mission Control. What they're looking at is up on your screen right now. It's the room's situational awareness tool called the Viz, directly in front of the mission and activity directors.
The Viz is an animation representing real-time telemetry data feeding into Nova Control. Nova Control receives the data and runs it through a video game software, then generates a visualization of that data. It's a useful tool for keeping track of what Athena is doing in space. The white line you see right now is pointing to the moon. There are also some other color lines you might see pop up, like a blue line, that's the past and intended trajectory. The yellow and the green lines are pointing toward the sun and the earth, respectively. And at different points during landing, you might see some different color cones appear. Those are antenna arrays used for line-of-sight communication back to Earth. We're going to show the Viz periodically throughout this show to check in on Athena, and we intend to leave the Viz up during landing to give you the most accurate information possible.
And Leah, let's go ahead and use that tool now. We have a screen off to the side here, and it looks like Athena is about 72 kilometers above the lunar surface, continuing to decrease her altitude over the next hour until firing her engine one more time for landing. Again, that landing time is expected at 11:31 Central Standard Time, 12:31 Eastern. The countdown clock at the top of your screen is counting down to that time, and we expect to remove the countdown clock approximately 2 minutes before the landing opportunity. Now, getting to this moment has Been quite the journey, especially over the past 7 days in space since liftoff from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center.
Athena lifted off at 7:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from atop a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket on February 26th. Approximately 43 minutes later, Athena entered a translunar orbit, which is a direct shot at the moon. Over the next few days, Athena completed small engine firings to refine her trajectory before flight controllers commanded lunar orbit insertion on March 3rd to place the lander approximately 100 kilometers, or about 62 miles, above the lunar surface. For 3 days in lunar orbit, she has prepared to make her journey down to the lunar surface.
The journey to low lunar orbit took firing Athena's liquid methane.
Hey, I have a quick breaking news update for you. I have a quick breaking news update to you about the Trump tariffs, which is, I am seeing here that AP reports that Trump has, says he's lifting tariffs on most goods from Mexico for 4 weeks. Trump is lifting tariffs on most goods for Mexico from 4 weeks. Maybe we'll cover that later. We're not going to cover it right this second. But I just wanted to let you know that. I'm just seeing that right now.
The south pole of the moon and Malapert A. The Nova C-class lunar lander was known as Odysseus. It broke a piece of landing.
Okay. Yes, he just posted on his Truth Social. He said, all right, really quick, let me just show you this real quick, okay? I'll actually put it on the screen for you. Here is Trump's Truth Social. After speaking with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico, I have agreed that Mexico will not be required to pay tariffs on anything that falls under the USMCA agreement. That's most goods from Mexico. This agreement is until April 2nd. I did this as an accommodation and out of respect for President Sheinbaum. Our relationship has been a very good one, and we are working hard together on the border, both in terms of stopping illegal aliens from entering the United States and likewise stopping fentanyl. Thank you to President Sheinbaum for your hard work and cooperation. So I wanted to show you guys that. First of all, I can't play the music here anyway, so I got to turn off the audio. I'll turn the audio back on in a second. So again, cutting in with some breaking news. Our viewer Banana Doe says, "All right, let's do this to Canada. Maybe later today." All right. So most tariffs have basically a month reprieve, a month delay. All right, really quick. I'll turn the sound back on once they stop playing music. They're playing music right now on the stream. Okay, here we go. 50 minutes until the landing of the Athena Moon lander. This is a privately made by Intuitive Machines moon lander, which NASA has paid them to send this up there. And this is one of hold on.
With our plan to land humans on the moon and Mars, let's head over to NASA's Antonio Jaramillo just down the hall.
Hey, thanks, Leah. Joining me is Joel Kearns, the Deputy Associate Administrator for Exploration with NASA Science Mission Director. Joel, we're getting ready for our second moon landing in less than a week. I mean, what an exciting time.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, we've had the launch of IM-2 on last Wednesday, and then very early Sunday morning, we had the successful landing of Blue Ghost Mission 1 from Firefly. It's really, I'm over the moon at this point. Yeah.
You know, talking now about this specific mission for IM-2, can you tell us why some of the specific science and technology instruments were selected for this mission, and then also for the first mission for Intuitive Machines?
So Intuitive Machines' first mission, NASA primarily selected scientific instruments. As a matter of fact, we left it up to Intuitive Machines to pick out which NASA scientific instruments that we had available for the moon they would fly on IM-1. But this mission is really different. It's not just Intuitive Machines' second flight of their Nova C model lunar lander.
His mic is messed up.
This mission is almost focused exclusively on technology development payloads instead of scientific instruments. So the payloads that are on Intuitive Machines 2 will really test out and demonstrate new technologies that will be used in the future by scientists, by people that develop exploration systems, and by people that do operations in space. So it's got a really different character than IM-1.
You know, that's really fascinating. I can't wait to discover what we learn once we're on the moon.
Look, they have the model right there.
Why is it important that we have these different CLPS contracts with the different commercial providers?
Well, you know, for a number of reasons. One is that we, of course, when we buy a service, we want to be able to have competition so that we can get the best service at the best price the fastest we can. But even more than that, by having a number of different companies develop these CLPS service landers, we're able to see the different strengths and the different entrepreneurial ways that they develop new techniques just for their lander, and it gives overall a much better suite of products for the United States to have. Also, one of our goals on CLPS, in addition to carrying science and technology on the moon, is to generate a group of companies in the U.S. that are very good at landing things on the moon so the U.S. government can buy that service, or other foreign companies or governments could also buy that service from the U.S.
You know, Joel, thank you so much for joining us here today. Now we'll send it back to our hostess, to Leah and Josh.
Thanks, Antonia. We're following along with Athena's descent toward the lunar surface. I'll glance over at the viz, and it looks like she's continuing to decrease her altitude until powered descent initiation. She's right about 58 kilometers, but we expect PDI in approximately 36 minutes. That's powered descent initiation. That is a main engine firing that takes about 12 minutes. It's designed to slow Athena's speed in preparation for final descent moments before touchdown. The time of ignition for PDI is 11:15 a.m. Central Time, and that's 11 a.m., 12:15 a.m. p.m., excuse me, Eastern. The entire landing sequence is autonomous, meaning the lander is in control of every milestone required for a lunar landing opportunity, although flight controllers do have the ability to intervene minutes before touchdown.
And completing a soft touchdown on the lunar surface comes with unique challenges because there is no atmosphere.
That's right. It's not quite Mars just yet, Leah. For now, it's an entirely different playbook.
Let's take a look at the IM-2 mission's complete trajectory approach and what Athena is expected to do on the surface.
I got to fix our headline.
Athena's mission may provide the...
I got to turn off the music. I got to fix the headline. There's no reason for me to have a clock up there when they have their clock up there. I had my clock up there just so we'd have a clock before that we had this broadcast. Soon. Athena lunar lander attempts moon landing. Okay, let me just fix this here. Thanks for your patience. Oops. No. Okay. Just need to fix our headline, then we'll be good to go. This would be the second NASA-backed private moon lander to land on the moon in a week, because one landed on Sunday. Let me just fix this so you can see it here. No. Good. And in case you, yes, as our viewer just said, SC dot, the clock is right there on the top of the screen. In addition, if you missed it a few minutes ago, President Trump announced he was temporarily suspending the tariffs on most goods from Mexico until April 2nd. Oops, all right, volume back.
Look at what we've built.
This mission's Nova C-class lunar lander is named Athena. She's carrying 11 payloads, including NASA and commercial instruments to the moon, and including her solar panels. With the landing gear, she's just shy of 15 feet wide, and that's about the length of a standard car parking spot. The lander weighs nearly 1,500 pounds, with the majority of that weight at the base during landing, and it's capable of delivering about 220 pounds of payload to the lunar surface. And we've got a replica of Athena right here. So Josh, can you walk us through a few of the commercial payloads that are on board for this mission?
Sure. Pretty convenient placement, right? We consider all of these commercial payloads to be pioneers on these early missions. Underneath the garage here, we have Lunar Outpost Map Rover, right, which is also connected to Nokia's 4G LTE system. That's their Lunar Surface Communications System. On the other side, we have another interesting bit. This one is Lone Star's data center, and the lander itself is protected by 2 innovative technologies from Columbia Sportswear, helping to protect this mission, making sure Athena makes it to her intended destination, Leah.
Athena and her payloads are expected to land on the Mons Mouton region of the moon. This is farther south than any lunar landing attempt ever.
And Leah, that is significant. Just like Earth, there are places on the moon that are like landing in an open field. The South Pole is a different story. This mission's landing site is more similar to landing on a small plateau in the Rocky Mountains, but that's where we think that there's going to be water in future exploration.
Well, to learn a little bit more, let's head to Antonio Jaramillo to learn about this landing site.
Hey, thanks, Leah. Joining me now is Ben Bussey, Intuitive Machines Chief Scientist. Ben, you know, both IM-1 and IM-2 chose the moon's south pole for its landing locations. Why specifically the south pole?
So the lunar poles are interesting for both scientific and exploration regions. We know because of the moon's tilt that the craters near the pole are permanently shadowed. They never see the sun. So they're extremely cold, and we believe that water and other volatiles could build up inside those craters and in the polar region, and that represents a resource for future robotic and human exploration. And also the poles are sort of lunar incognita in that they've been relatively underexplored. If you think back to the Apollo era of exploration, that was all sort of equatorial, and so there's still a lot to learn about them.
Absolutely, and so can you tell us then a little bit then what's different then from both the landing locations of IM-1 and IM-2, even though they're in a similar area?
I would say there are more similarities than differences between the 2 landing sites. The poles are a challenging location in that when you look at the moon, you have sort of the dark regions that you see, which in Latin are the seas and the lakes. They're relatively flat terrain. But we want to explore the poles. The poles are what they call highland terrain, more rugged, low sun angle, which makes them challenging. And so IM-1 landed about 80 degrees south. It's also the location that the NASA with Artemis wants to send crew. So we're gradually working our way towards the poles. We're about twice as close to the pole with IM-2, about 85 degrees south, about 160 kilometers, 100 miles away from the South Pole.
And now, you know, you briefly touched on it, but can you discuss some more the challenges of landing in the South Pole?
Yes, so I think when the team picks a landing site, there are really 3 parts to that. The first part, the most important part, is it has to be a safe landing site. The moon doesn't have atmosphere. It has hazards. You can't avoid craters, and so you have to have the capability to avoid them during the final part. You also have to avoid the boulders. So the first step is going to be a safe landing site. The second part is, are you going somewhere where the instruments and the payloads that you're flying, can they achieve the science or the technology goals that they want to do? And that's one of the reasons we've picked the site that we have. And the third, one of the reasons also the poles are challenging, is unlike the near side of the moon where you'd see the Earth all the time and the sun would come up for 14 days and set, the sun is always on the horizon, and you play a sort of a game of orbital mechanics in that you need the sun and the Earth both to be up at the same time, and that changes every month. So the team has to take that into account as well.
A lot of things to take into account. You know, Ben, this is going to be Intuitive Machines' second lunar landing. How are you and the team feeling?
Oh, I think the best way to phrase it is nervous excited. I mean, obviously the landing is exciting and scary, but we're very excited about what we hope the payloads will achieve. One of the payloads, the hopper, is like a mini lander that can fly several kilometers. And one of the reasons the Mons Mouton region, it is one of the Artemis regions, one of the potential regions for crew. We're landing close to a small, permanently shadowed 200-meter crater. We've put instruments on the hopper from Puli Space in Hungary. It's a neutron spectrometer. It will measure hydrogen. So it will be the first ever time we've taken a direct hydrogen measurement inside a permanently shadowed crater.
You know, very exciting times ahead. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. Now we'll send it back to Leah and Josh.
Thank you, Tony and Ben. As a reminder, Intuitive Machines Lunar Lander is taking NASA science and technology demonstrations to the moon under the Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative. We call it CLIPS. Under CLIPS, NASA asks commercial companies like Intuitive Machines to provide lunar delivery services that advance capabilities for science, exploration, or commercial development of the moon. This flight will deliver 3 NASA instruments for CLIPS, including a drill suite called Prime 1 and a laser reflector array, or LRA. These NASA payloads will focus on demonstrating drilling capabilities, investigating resources below the lunar surface, and analyzing surface and subsurface volatiles. As we continue to descend toward the lunar surface, let's take a closer look at these NASA instruments. First is Prime 1, or the Polar Resources Ice Mining Experiment 1. Prime 1 is a collection of 2 instruments that complement each other's work: the Trident Drill, which stands for the Regolith and Ice Drill for exploring new terrain, and M-SOLO, which stands for Mass Spectrometer for observing lunar operations. The Trident Drill will extract lunar soil, also known as regolith, up to 1 meter or approximately 3 feet below the surface. M-SOLO, the mass spectrometer, is designed to analyze the composition of that sample for water and other components. In addition, M-SOLO will measure the composition of gases released near the drill activity. This technology instrument will help demonstrate drilling capabilities that will help scientists understand the on-site or in-situ resources that already exist on the moon.
NASA's next payload is the Laser Retroreflector Array, or LRA. It's a collection of 8 retroreflectors similar to the reflectors on your bike that enable precision laser ranging, which is a measurement of the distance between orbiting or landing spacecraft to that reflector that we have on Athena. LRA is mounted on Athena's top deck, so when a laser hits it, it reflects light back to the orbiting spacecraft. And LRA is a non-powered or passive instrument that's intended to function as a permanent location marker for decades on the moon.
Another common theme you'll find among the NASA payloads on IM-2 is helping to demonstrate technologies and our understanding of that lunar landscape that could very well improve operations for landing on the moon in the future. The technology on IM-2 will provide valuable data to help us better understand the moon's surface and allow us to gather insights that will shape the future of lunar resource utilization.
And Leah, using CLIPS as a springboard, Intuitive Machines really based that innovation off of that. We designed and developed a complete lunar program to help support CLIPS and carry out an essential directive underneath that initiative that calls for the commercial development of the moon. That opportunity for Intuitive Machines expanded services outside of NASA payloads, opening doors for commercial industry to achieve those lunar ambitions.
On IM-2, there are 8 commercial payloads flying alongside NASA's Prime 1 drill suite and Laser Retroreflector Array.
That includes commercial payloads from around the world, like Lone Star's data center, a rover from a company based in Japan called Diamond, Columbia Sportsmare, and a couple more we'll touch on here just in a second.
Absolutely. Some additional payloads on board Athena are largely driven by NASA's Space Technology Mission Directorate. These are NASA-sponsored experiments, but developed by private companies. These are also called tipping point awards. These tipping point initiatives are valuable to the lunar economy as we move.
Hey, real quick, I'm going to do a poll right now. Will the landing be successful? I am posting a poll right now in the chat. Will the landing be successful? And then I will tell you what you guys vote. I have posted the poll on YouTube and Twitch. I will post it on Facebook in a second.
Grace is designed to fire her 3 hydrazine engines to lift off from the lander, making her initial landing not too far from Athena. And over the next several days, Grace is expected to make 4 hops, and the 4th hop, Leah, into a crater called Crater H.
That's on Athena. That drone is on Athena.
Perhaps with a little bit more personality.
Can't wait to see what you come up with. NASA is interested in what Grace may uncover in the crater because there are regions inside craters that never see light from the sun. And that means they remain extremely cold and could have volatiles like water.
And to detect things like water, Grace is equipped with 2 commercial payloads. One of them is a water snooper from Pulley Space, and another is a lunar radiometer from the German Aerospace Center. We expect Grace to take readings in the shadow crater for about 45 minutes before making one final hop out of that crater to transmit her data back to Athena.
And Grace isn't alone on her mission. She's getting help from another NASA tipping point. To talk about these payloads and the Space Technology Mission Directorate's role in bringing these game-changing technologies to reality, let's send it to NASA's Antonia Jaramillo.
Hey, thanks, Leah. Now joining me is Nikki Werkheiser, Director of Technology Maturations for NASA's Space Technology Mission Directorate. Nikki, can you tell us a little bit more about NASA's Tipping Point initiative and how it's being leveraged on this IM-2 mission?
Of course. So the tipping points are really kind of the heartbeat of what we do in space tech. The whole idea is that technology really enables science and exploration, our commercial ecosystem. So we really want to have, just as much as we want to have exciting new technologies, we want to have new exciting ways to partner and be very agile and really leverage each other's strengths from the government and the commercial side. So the tipping points allow us to do that. So with the tipping points, industry, the companies we're working with, put contributions in. They have internal research funds and development, and then the government puts money in. So we're true partners in creating these capabilities.
Now, specifically on IM-2, why did NASA decide to invest on Intuitive Machines Micronova Hopper, or GRACE, and then also the Nokia Lunar Surface Communication System?
So I'm glad you asked. So we have something called the Lunar Surface Innovation Initiative, and it was started in about 2019, shortly after Artemis. The whole idea there was, in order to do anything on the moon, you're going to have a set of capabilities or technologies that everyone is going to need. Just your basic infrastructure.
This is basically it's an animation live shot based on live data, and you can see the surface of the moon moving underneath, and the white line is pointing towards the moon surface. So it's not a camera, but that is an animation based on live telemetry, live data, and that's basically what it looks like, even though it's not done through a camera. It's animated.
Show us what's in there. That's where we think we might have some water or ice. For the communications, that's a no-brainer, right? Every time I talk to, whether it's a 2nd grade class or my grandmother, then they would, when we have our cell phones, when am I going to have my phone on the moon? You have to be able to communicate. Whether you're in your rover and traversing, whether you're in your suit or in your habitat, you have to have a way to be able to communicate. So it's very important that we get this communication.
They're testing out like a 4G cell phone network thing that astronauts in theory could use. By the way, 82% on Twitch said the landing will be successful. 80% on YouTube said the landing will be successful. And in a second, I will tell you what Facebook said. I appreciate you voting in our poll here. On Facebook, the vote was 100% said it'll be successful. I hope it's successful.
So when you think about living and working somewhere like the moon, I don't know about y'all, but if I go to Walmart, if I go to Florida, I'll have to stop at Walmart and buy my flip-flops, right? You have to prepare for a lot of different things that could happen. So you need that basic infrastructure so you can be more independent from Earth and live and work. So things like power. I mentioned the dust. We learned in Apollo that the dust is very abrasive and very hard on your systems. So we have active, passive, and operational ways to control that. You notice I say dust mitigation, not solutions, because you have to mitigate it. Being able to rove around, being able to have communications, in situ resource utilization, which Prime will be looking at, on how we can use the natural resources where we
Really quick, I'm just going to jump in here real quick. I want to say thanks to Kafka on the Shore, our member who says, I'm rooting for success. Thanks to Wendy, our member.
So definitely a lot of important
and thanks to Oxytropus on Twitch for your support. And I just want to shout out our moderators really quick. Ruth Krafasi is moderating right now. Oh, hang on a second.
Deeper look into how the Nokia tipping point will work and the benefits for future missions.
On Earth, a cellular network.
I can't play the music, so I'm going to mute this. But they're testing out like this Nokia cell network thing that astronauts in theory could use. Anyways, if you want, you can watch the animation. I will. Maybe there's. Can I do this? No, I can't do that. So let me just really quick thank our moderators. By the way, 29 minutes until the landing. We have moderating right now Ruth Krafasi over there on YouTube. Thank you, Ruth. And Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X. Over there on Twitch, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, Surly Dev, and thanks Margaret Riley for moderating on Facebook. We are bringing you live coverage. This is the Athena Lunar Lander. This is a privately made, a private company, Intuitive Machines, has made this lunar lander, but they were hired by NASA to put this on the moon, and this would be the second private lunar lander backed by NASA to land on the moon in a week, because one landed there on Sunday, made by a different company. And NASA is having these lunar landers conduct experiments, test out technology that they say is going to help astronauts go to the moon and eventually, hopefully, to Mars. And this one today is supposed to do some experiments and dig to try to test whether there's water in the South Pole region of the moon. That's one of the big things it's doing. Water that maybe astronauts could use to for various things if astronauts go to the moon. So again, these landers are designed to help get astronauts to the moon and eventually to Mars, in theory. Oops, hold on.
Lunar Outpost has another mission objective. Not only will the Lunar Outpost carry the Nokia tipping point demonstration, it will also collect lunar regolith, also known as lunar soil. Lunar Outpost and iSpace have contracts through NASA's Space Operations Mission Directorate for regolith collection. When completed, the companies will provide imagery and location data of the collected material and transfer ownership to NASA.
Now, the purpose of this effort is to show that transfer of ownership from private to public. Lunar Outpost map rover will be on IM-2. This rover will also carry the Nokia tipping point demo we just mentioned and traverse the moon. And the company's lunar surface communications system that's from Nokia will demonstrate proximity communications between Athena, Lunar Outpost rover, and the Hopper.
The Lunar Outpost map rover aboard the IM-2 mission will also carry a technology from the MIT Media Lab Space Exploration Initiative called AstroAnt, which was tested through STMD's Flight Opportunities program. To change the pace of space, the Science Technology Mission Directorate's Flight Opportunities program works with industry flight providers to rapidly demonstrate promising technologies in reduced gravity and other relevant environments.
And Leah, we're just about 12 minutes from Athena starting her final approach to the lunar surface, and things are moving forward as going into an intense 11-minute main engine firing towards the lunar surface. And to this point, Athena has traveled over 700,000 kilometers up on the Viz over 8 days for this final, very risky maneuver.
Yeah, risky is right. It's no secret that landing on the moon is challenging. Countries around the world have attempted this incredible feat, with some being successful and some not. Of course, the United States has landed on the moon many times, most notably during the Apollo program. But today we're looking for the third landing by a U.S. commercial company enabled under NASA's CLIPS initiative. Ahead of these important milestones, let's discuss the challenges of landing on the moon through CLIPS. Take a look.
Music.
Landing on the moon is hard.
I can't play the music stuff. One of our viewers had a good question, by the way. One of our viewers said, has been proven there is water on the moon? Yes, it has. NASA says research has confirmed that water exists both in the sunlit and shadowed surfaces of the moon, yet many questions remain. So it has been proven there is water on the surface of the moon, but there's a lot of research that they want to do about it. A lot of questions remain, as they say. Wikipedia said this mission aims to provide the first surface measurement of hydrogen in the permanently shadowed region, an essential indicator of water. Sneezing Eagle says they got to figure out how to harvest it. We have 24 minutes until the landing. That was a good question, though. Yeah, I'd like to know more about. That's a good question of how exactly, what specific additional information they will get from today. But what was I going to do here? Hold on a second here. But NASA would like to be able to have astronauts make use of this water. Yeah, there's a as Associated Press says, the lander has this hopping drone on it, and the drone is going to hop into this crater, which is 20 feet deep, if everything works okay, and then science instruments from Hungary and Germany will take measurements at the bottom of the crater while hunting for frozen water. Scientists, it will be the first close-up peek inside one of the many shadowed craters, they never get light, dotting both the north and south poles. Scientists suspect that these shadowed craters at the poles are packed with tons of ice. If so, this ice could be transformed by future explorers into water to drink, air to breathe, and even rocket fuel. That is from Associated Press. So, trying to find out more about the ice in the permanently shadowed regions, in the shadowed, including the shadowed craters. MF Creation says, I want a hopping drone now. 22 minutes until the landing. Will we see video from the moon? You know, Matthew, I don't know what we will see in terms of photos, videos. Will we see anything right away? Hold on a second here.
Minutes from Athena's planned lunar landing attempt. Let's take a live look into Nova Control. Josh, can you tell us what's going on right now inside your Mission Control Center?
Well, flight controllers are all monitoring Athena's flight data in near real time. That means Athena is sending data from nearly 250,000 miles away to ground stations contracted by Intuitive Machines across the globe and into Nova Control. The mission director and landing system experts are looking at a screen called the Deorbit Descent and Landing, or DDL screen. It's used primarily while Athena orbits the moon through to landing. That same data flow is being interpreted through a video game engine to create what we call the viz that you see on your screen right now. Well, we have made some improvements to increase the fidelity and reliability of the viz. We expect to keep it up for you during the landing, although the last few seconds may be an estimation of what's happening, as Athena may lose communications contact, particularly when she pitches over right before vertical descent.
Right now, looking at the viz, it shows Athena approximately 15 kilometers above the lunar surface, so we're getting close. Now, when the lander makes it down to about 10 kilometers, we expect Athena to continuously fire her main engine, throttling down until softly landing on the lunar surface.
And Leah, that final burn is called Powered Descent Initiation, or PDI. Athena must slow down by about 1,800 meters per second, which doesn't mean too much until we typed it into Google. That's about 4,000 miles per hour. That's because she's approaching her landing site coming down from orbit, so she has a lot of lateral speed. You can think of PDI like hitting the brakes on your car in order to make a safe turn. But in Athena's case, that turn is moving into a vertical upright position to start descending down to the lunar surface. PDI should be starting here just in about 6 minutes, I believe. Leah?
The teams here in Nova Control have been working diligently over the past 7-8 days to take us this far. Now, again, only 15 kilometers above the lunar surface. We're following the countdown to Athena's landing attempt, but for now, we're heading back over to Tony Hadamia, who is standing by with NASA's acting administrator, Janet Petro. Tony?
Thanks, Leah. It's always an honor to be joined by NASA leadership, and joining us now is Acting Administrator Janet Petro. Janet, we're getting, 20 minutes until landing. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling super excited. I got a little nervous, fingers crossed, toes crossed, but looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I have everything crossed too. Can you tell us a little bit more about the challenges of landing on the moon, especially for these uncrewed robotic spacecraft?
Yeah, so even, you mentioned these are uncrewed, but even back in the Apollo days, the 7 times we landed on the moon, it was very, very challenging, required a whole bunch of simulations and demonstrations to get that right. And so for the uncrewed, so each lander is unique, so each is developed differently, and the harshness of the environment with no atmosphere, the dust that's going to spring up when it lands, all these conditions make it really, really hard to do it right and get it right. And so one thing I found from the Firefly from last week, all these companies know how hard it is. Their own technology, they've got to have precise propulsion and navigation systems to get them right down on the surface, and it's all automated. We're 238,000 miles away from Earth, so there's no real-time control, so that the systems have got to work perfectly together. So these companies, that they support each other, and I started to say we were at Firefly, and several of the other companies sent them in coffee and donuts because they know how stressful it is for the team as they're coming in for a landing to make it, and hopefully it'll go right. But it is really, really hard to make sure that all the systems are working seamlessly and perfectly, and that as they get closer and closer to the lunar surface, that the rugged terrain that they're about to land on, it all works out. And the South Pole is increasingly challenging with the very, very deep craters that are there. The low level of light and the angle of the sun make that even more challenging. So it's harsh. It's harsh.
It absolutely is, and it's just even more impressive when the teams then are able to land, well. Janet, can you tell us how these commercial then lunar flights that are part of the agency's CLIPS initiative, how are they helping us then in our own Artemis missions when we send humans back to the moon?
Yeah, so I consider them part of the way bigger Artemis missions as we're going back to the moon and then on to Mars, that we talk about all the time. And so CLIPS, the Commercial Lunar Payload Services, I just think it's a brilliant partnership between NASA and innovative companies to come up with their own concepts and ideas and help put forth science and instruments earlier than we're going to be able to get humans on the moon. And we'll be able to learn a lot from
I just want to cut in. I'm cutting in with another news update for you. Just cutting in. ABC News reports that the White House has pulled the expected signing today of the executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. Again, ABC News is reporting that the White House has pulled the expected signing today of Trump's executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. By the way, you can find analysis by legal experts that say that that executive order was expected to face legal challenges by those who feel that it would require Congress to get rid of the Department of Education. Anyways, again, I just wanted to break in with that piece of news as we wait for this lunar landing.
Leadership in space.
A lot of exciting science ahead. Janet, thank you so much for joining us today. Now we'll send it back to Leah and Josh.
Thanks, Antonia. It's time to buckle up, space fans, or lean forward in your chair. We just heard the call out for 90 seconds for time of ignition for PDI. Let's go ahead and open up those operational channels so that folks at home can listen as we go in towards PDI, Leah. That's a braking burn coming out of orbit, trying to slow down about 4,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, PDI stands for Power Descent Initiation. So this is really that final commitment that we are coming in for landing. And everything is really going to happen in rapid succession after this 11-minute burn, now just 60 seconds away. The rest of the sequence is only about 2 minutes to touchdown.
Really quick, there's a report also of some possible shots fired at Naval Air Station Pensacola. I'm trying to get some more information on that. I will let you know when I have some reliable information about that.
We're just now inside about 30 seconds, standing by for that time of ignition for PDI. 30 seconds.
And with 30 seconds, we are now 13 kilometers above the moon. Again, we're going to bring it back down to 10.
Attitude.
And start that burn.
We might be
listening. AFM is in exec mode.
I was just about to say we're listed for exec mode here.
15
seconds.
RCS settling burn.
Settling burn. That's our attitude control system.
Ignition commanded.
Ignition and main stage.
All right, let's go ahead and start our stopwatches here.
Cameras are running.
We'll be listening for that max thrust.
AFM mode is breaking 1.
Chamber pressures look nominal.
Good calls. They're not going in at 100% here, Leah. They're going in about 90% in case they need a little bit more oomph on this braking burn.
Again, this is about
good control.
About an 11-minute burn, but the engine does not cut off at the end of this burn. It just continues to throttle down until we land softly on the lunar surface.
And we're listening in to hear some good confirmations of data. If you hear good confirmation of data, that means that that data is making its way to the viz, what you're watching right now on your screen. We do expect to lose some of those communications, especially during that pitch over maneuver at the end of PDI. That's when the lander will be changing its attitude and maybe those antennas aren't pointed directly back to Earth. It's something we expect, something we plan for, but one thing that's unique to the lunar south pole is what's called multipath, and that's when you have radio waves reaching their intended destination back at Earth after they're taking a different route, maybe bouncing off a crater or a ridge. So we do expect less than optimal radio signals on the surface, but that's something we have to plan for, and it's something that's reflected inside the viz here. So if the viz does lose communications, it's going to continue moving in its last estimated vector. So folks at home, you might be seeing the lander touch down on the surface, but the ultimate call of confirmation and what is happening is going to come from that mission director seat. You see it in the small box on the bottom right hand of your screen. That's Dr. Tim Crane in the mission director seat today.
Coming up on 1 minute and 45 seconds since the start of the burn, again, an 11-minute burn using the main engine aboard Athena. And if you're watching the viz and it looks like Athena is traveling parallel essentially to the lunar surface, that's because it is. This is a braking burn. Confirmation 2 minutes in, and a better picture on the viz that shows just
chamber pressure still nominal.
Continuing to get good calls, but the next step will be pitch over. So during that pitch over time frame, Athena will begin to upright itself and prepare to descend down to the lunar surface and also activate HDA, or hazard detection and avoidance. Can you break that down for us too?
Yeah, we touched on this at the top of the show, Leah. We are going in at about 450 meters for PDI versus our originally planned 400 meters, and that's because we had some uncertainty and variability within the recent landing measurements, going in about 50 meters higher, allowing those flight controllers to manually confirm and screen alternative measurements. But we do expect that our estimated landing time will stay closer towards that estimated 11:30 Central Time. That's 12:30 Eastern. And right now we're standing by, just about to hit 3 minutes into this burn. We're listening.
3 minutes in.
There it is. How about that? And we're listening in to hear for things about how many kilometers uprange we may be. We know this braking burn will continue to happen until about 2 kilometers from our intended landing site. Now that intended landing site is where Athena...
Still processing good depause.
Hey, that's a good call. All right, folks at home, that depause is that delta position, meaning the lander is taking pictures in flight, and she's comparing those two pictures together to determine how much have I moved and figure out how fast did I get there in order to affirm that Athena's going in the right direction, making the right moves going forward. Another good thing about depause, we're getting good comm. So on your screen at home and you're looking at the viz, you're looking at, what is this, about 16 meters. That may be off, about 16 meters. We'll stand by for a call out to confirm maybe altitude as well as distance to the landing site. But if they're getting good DPOS, they have good comm, again, we do expect, plan, and train for a loss of comm right around the pitch over time frame, and maybe also as well as we descend towards the lunar surface, making sure that our radios and antennas are in the right config.
490 seconds left in the burn.
490 seconds left in the burn. That's code for, we've been burning for about 4 minutes, Leah. We'll stand by to try to get some more data and call-outs here, maybe some kilometers up range, as well as the mixture ratio, trying to figure out the vehicle's performance, that mixture of liquid methane and liquid oxygen going into the engine. Let's take a second and listen in to flight controllers here.
GNC 174 acknowledged.
It's a different mode inside of the guidance, navigation, and control software called out from Michaela Landivar, if I'm not
Chamber
mistaken.
pressures and temperatures still nominal.
Nominal temperatures. This
450 seconds left in the braking.
450 seconds left in a braking.
5 minutes in.
Code for 5 minutes in.
Again, this is a braking burn, the powered descent initiation, really committing us to our final descent. Earlier this morning, we had the DOI, or the descent orbit insertion, which got us out of lunar orbit itself. And since then, Athena has been completely autonomous. So Josh, is there anything right now that flight controllers can still command on the spacecraft?
That's a good point. I mean, there is an autonomous process that is bringing Athena from descent orbit insertion, triggering powered descent initiation, and then through to the lunar surface. Flight controllers do have a few options to manually intervene. We talked about allowing a little bit of extra time with that additional 50 meters for
400
PDI.
seconds left in braking.
400 seconds left in braking. We're almost up on 6 minutes inside of this burn. But that extra 50 meters is allowing flight controllers to manually confirm and screen alternative measurements, as we did have a little bit of uncertainty and variability with recent landing measurements. By my count, we're just crossing about 6 minutes, Leah.
That means we're
GNC 175 acknowledged.
Another guidance, navigation, and control mode call out there.
It's about 16 meters from the moon.
This 11-minute burn using the main engine on Athena.
AFM is in braking 2.
Braking 2, progressing through that PDI count, Leah.
Top right is distance from moon. It says 15.6 meters.
350 seconds left in braking, just crossing over the 6.5 minute mark since PDI, powered descent initiation. This is one continuous burn from PDI all the way down to the surface.
VFM mode is DPOS only.
All right, we're still processing delta position. Those are camera measurements the lander is looking at and making decisions. One of those decisions will be using hazard detection to fly to an intended landing region, and
16,000 meters.
Make those decisions of a safe site. Whether
I had that wrong. It's 16,000 meters. It's going down that fast. My bad. 14,000. It's 14,300 meters. There you go.
Forward to figure out where those hazards are and choose a new landing site.
Now over 7 minutes into the burn, this braking burn.
300 seconds left in braking.
Specifically, 300 seconds left. This braking burn.
Engine is still healthy.
And great confirmation about the engine itself. That engine is bringing
GNC 176 acknowledged.
Engine is bringing us from about 4,000 miles per hour to eventually a soft about 1 meter per second, or about 3 feet per second landing.
And I'm catching a little jitters watching the viz here, so I think folks at home will be seeing the same thing. Remember, this is data being streamed down from a lander that's braking about 4,000 miles per hour, trying to feed that data back 250,000 miles away.
TAL is ebb now at 5 dB.
Just to enjoy.
It's braking at 4,000 miles an hour.
Camera's now in braking 2 mode.
We are still inside of PDI, braking 2 mode.
250 seconds left in braking.
So we cross over 8 minutes into this burn.
Again, about an 11-minute burn. We don't expect the engine to reach full 100% thrust. It's really a throttled approach. This engine is designed to continuously burn in throttle all the way from power descent initiation, which began 8 minutes and 30 seconds ago, through touchdown. This approach is very similar to what we saw for the Apollo descent modules as well.
And it makes a lot of sense. If you go in at 100% and you need a little more, there's nothing left to give, right? We want to come in nominally around 90% and then have a little bit of room to play if we do need to increase the speed of which we're slowing down. You'll hear folks maybe call out the rate of acceleration, but in this case, for us, that's deceleration.
9 minutes elapsed.
It's about 6 miles away from the moon right now.
Yes, just a couple of minutes left in the braking burn, so another look forward to that rapid succession of events that'll come immediately after braking is complete. We will see pitch over begin. We'll be using those 4 RCS, or reaction control system thrusters, at the top of the spacecraft to reorient Athena before its a final approach, vertical descent, and terminal descent.
And all of those after PDI, Leah, that you just called out, we're expecting those to happen rapidly. We can kind of sit back and let flight controllers really get into what's happening. We'll take a few chances in between to help. There's a LOS on one of the radio systems, again, expected as we get in towards our pitch over maneuver. Some jitters on the viz.
Quasonics still showing good data.
That's the second radio. So the first one,
good data on Quasonics.
The first one we heard a loss of
GNC
signal.
177 acknowledged.
The second was a confirmation that the second radio, we still have signal. So it's good signal, good data, good viz, and we're watching the show here along with the folks at home.
10 minutes into the burn, so expecting just about a minute more until the end of this braking maneuver.
We expect and plan for pitch over just about 2 kilometers away from the intended landing site. That gives Athena a little bit of time to pitch over and start looking forward using her navigation sensors to detect different hazards, as well as her altitude, to lower down to the lunar surface at approximately 1 meters per second if all goes towards plan. There's LOS as we approach our pitch over. All right, we're approaching 11 minutes into the burn. Local time is 11:26.
AOS on Quasonics.
11 minutes in.
11 minutes in, we heard another call out that we're up on Quasonics. That's our radio system. It's 11:26 local. I'm looking at a pitch over time at 11:27 in about 52 seconds. So we are coming up over to the pitch over, where we expect to have some loss of comms. Earlier we talked about multipath. That is very unique to the lunar South Pole, where our radio signals are using multiple ways to get to the same destination, whether that's from bouncing off the harsh terrain or some different polarity issues down there on the South Pole. We expect to have a weaker than normal signal, but we still want to make sure we get that confirmation, Leah. As part of that confirmation, we're going to safe the vehicle, figure out the status there, and then start working on pictures after everything's safe. Maybe around 2 hours after landing, we can cherish that photo.
LOS on Quasonics.
There's that loss of signal on one of the radio systems as we approach 12 minutes into PDI.
Again, the engine will continue to fire, albeit it will continue throttling down as we approach the lunar surface. And a reminder, the viz is a simulation based on flight data, but if we do lose contact with the lander, which can be expected based on the conditions at the lunar South Pole, we will continue to see projected data on this visualization.
And we're approaching G, as in ground, to 2 minutes. We expect to drop this clock here in 2 minutes and take all of our commands from inside of Nova Control, the bottom right hand of your screen. That's Dr.
It is getting really close right now.
Co-founder and Chief Growth Officer, also sitting in as Mission Director for landing this IM-2 mission. Standing by for the latest information. Let's wait one.
I think the altitude is wrong. It's not negative 2,000 from the moon.
Quasonics AOS.
HRN, HGA, HGA2.
Thales AOS.
60 seconds left in braking.
Altitude is
60 seconds
fixed.
left in braking.
And approach. Landing site selected.
Engine at idle.
11 meters cross range, divert.
Quasonics LOS.
There's that loss of signal over pitch over. Stand by, see if we regain that signal. Remember, folks, the viz that you're watching at home is an estimation of data. It's doing its best. That's a lot of data coming from really far away. All commands and all confirmations come from our mission director at the bottom right hand of your screen.
Says 5 meters. 5 meters and dropping. Unless I'm wrong, is that 5 point or 5 comma? I thought it said. Is it a comma or a point? I can't even tell at this point.
We are standing by, monitoring the viz just
five,
as you are
people are saying it's a comma, so it's 5,000 meters? I was confused. I didn't know if it turned into a dot. 5,000 people are saying.
Approximately the time that we estimated Athena would touch down on the surface. We did hear a call out for a Quasonics LOS. That is our radio system, something we expect to happen at pitch over. That's prior to a vertical descent and terminal descent. That latest data.
How are we doing on signal?
Is what you're seeing on the viz. Why don't
we currently are getting our uplink through Hemi 2, and we have a healthy AGC value, so our uplink is coming in strong for Talas. And then for our downlink, we have a strong EBNO at 17 on Green Hilly, and we are currently not seeing our Quasonics.
I wouldn't trust the altitude now, because it said negative before.
Right, that's a
I see our signal strong on the spectrum for Talos. I'm not seeing our Quasonics on our spectrum as of yet.
FM, what mode are we in?
Approach 17 is the last we've seen.
All right, so that's up on one radio, and they do have a loss of signal in the second.
Fido, I'm
loss
looking
of
at
signal?
the Sense Excel. Do you see the Sense Excel reading?
Let me look.
That's a mission director detecting see if
I
the
am
lander.
seeing he sensed Excel 1G.
So that was the mission director, Tim Crane, trying to figure out what is the vehicle sensing. It has 2 inertial measurement units on board. You can think of those as your inner ear. So when he's asking what is the sensed acceleration, that's what he's asking for, is what is that inertial measurement unit, that inner ear, detecting as far as acceleration.
Again, as we've mentioned, the viz here is just an interpretation of landing.
Yeah, let's go ahead and stay on Nova control. Looks like the viz is hovering. We can't.
Prop, what are you seeing on the engine?
The engine is still in idle at min thrust. We are still seeing chamber pressure.
So we're getting good data. We heard that we have 1 radio up, 1 radio loss of signal. We just heard that we have.
I'm seeing guidance solution for time to go as increasing, just indicating to me that it is the onboard nav state is not decreasing in altitude.
They're trying to figure out exactly what's going on with it, I believe.
The good news, the HRN laser is now ready to fire.
So we heard that we have 1 good radio sending down data, 1 that has loss of signal. We have prop.
Standing by with a manual command for landed ops.
Yep.
No recommendation at this time.
Yep, we have prop telling us that we have good data. That was someone just commanding. We heard exec mode to go into this firing mode, and someone standing by to get into our landed ops mode. I'll wait for Dr. Crane to confirm here. But if we're pulling down data, we'll see how this goes. Looks like Tim's about ready to jump on the loop and sort out what we saw on the Viz versus what the folks inside of Mission Control are seeing on their monitors. It's a good reminder, too, this public channel that we're listening to here in the studio, Leah, and what people are listening to at home, at the landing party at Lone Star Flight Museum.
All right, folks. I'm showing that we are sensing lunar acceleration. So we're on the surface. Let's evaluate.
They say that we're on the surface?
All right, let's continue to evaluate. I hear we do have a picture from a portion of the descent. Is that right over there? All right, so that's a picture during braking about 10 kilometers up from the lunar surface that we do have while we wait for a little more information.
We can confirm the engine is still running and therefore needs to be upright.
Huh?
If we were in a different configuration, the engine would have snuffed.
Oh.
Okay, so we have confirmation. I believe that was from Con that says the engine's still running. This picture you're looking at, 10 kilometers up during that braking burn, that powered descent initiation, that long burn that brought us 4,000 miles per hour braking burn. Incredible shot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying as well.
Is it not upright? Is that the issue?
All right, there's another view there. Looks like from this panel we're looking at the garage, so that's Lunar Outpost mapped rover inside of that square right there, Leah. And this looks like it's probably about the same altitude, maybe about 10.
This was earlier.
10 meters above the surface.
These photos are from earlier. These
and
are not.
One more here for everyone. It's about the same altitude there, maybe a little bit more exposure, but these
camera's still running in HRN mode.
These photos came down for us just a few moments ago. Wanted to share those before we jump back into Mission Control as flight controllers are looking at this dynamic situation and learning.
Yeah, go ahead and put us in landed ops. It looks like we're down. We need to evaluate that situation, and I'd like to get a picture.
Looks like we're down?
As they say, picture it didn't happen.
Hello,
so Dr. Crane's onto it right there. A couple things here, Leah.
FM 3402 was acknowledged. AOS on Thales.
What we're hearing in our ears and what folks at home are listening to are not the only channels.
Check your systems.
That Mission Controllers are working on. So engine is shut down. Notice. We'll see what comes out of this.
Engine is shut down.
But they're all on different loops having separate conversations, so all the information that we have, that folks have at home, isn't necessarily the exact vibe inside the room. So we'll stand by and listen in to see what we have here. I did hear Dr. Crane call out that they are getting readings for lunar acceleration.
To the post-landing core procedure.
All right, Spark, I'm going to start shutting some stuff off as soon as we can.
Copy. Can you meet me on my loop, please?
Feed lines are inerting.
All right, so if we have enough data to be inerting feed lines, that means the engine's no longer running, and it's a state to bleed off that extra pressure. This is part of that safing bit that we talked about earlier, Leah. Looks like our CEO, Steve Altmus, just stepped into the room. That's in the bottom right hand of the box here, talking to the mission director, Dr. Tim Crane. He just called out telling Spark to turn some things off. That's because we need to remain in a power positive state, Leah, getting that top deck solar array into a spot where we are able to charge. But sometimes you have to turn a few things off to make sure that you're charging and not just burning through that power. All right, by my countdown clock, it's been about 22 minutes since we started that PDI, Leah.
And again, we were anticipating landing at about 11:31 a.m. Central Time, 12:31 p.m. Eastern Time. It can get tricky with communications on the lander when you're in a...
Prop, do we have insight to tank pressure if we turn off the Mogies and the Iggies?
We would, yeah.
All right, that's code for the...
If you turn off Mogies, then we cannot inert or vent the tanks.
Yeah. We can bring them back up though, right?
Yes.
How are my pressures?
They're low at this time.
Okay, turn off the Mogies and the Iggies. Going.
Could we turn everything off except the vent valves?
Yes.
That would be everything except MV103 and MV303.
All right, all this activity is regarding the lander's propulsion system. They're going through deciding on how to vent it. We heard two things there, Leah. We heard MOGIs and IGGIs. That's our motor engine gimbal system, right? And our IGGI is our igniter. So they're working through the process of safing this engine. At the top of the show, we talked about the priorities after touchdown, and being safe was first, followed by pulling down some health status information, and then images. And then just about 3 minutes ago, we heard Dr. Crane go ahead and say,
FM 3403 acknowledged.
We'll prioritize images. It's just about 9 minutes after the expected landing. So let's hang tight and continue to watch this problem and challenges unfold inside of Mission Control. Each one going through, finding this challenge, each one getting solved here. It sounds like they're still working through venting the engine system.
Let's power off the Quasonics until we get a handle on what antenna we're going to pipe it through.
Copy. Quasonics is currently in idle mode.
Good enough, thank you.
Quasonics, that's our radio. There's 2 radio systems on the lander. It sounds like when we talk about that vehicle health status, we heard some things for prop. Vehicle health status includes being in a power positive state.
Spark 636 acknowledged.
So we are communicating, commanding the lander, and getting acknowledgments back that the lander is behaving as expected. So putting those things together while we wait for confirmation from Dr. Crane. We have an engine that is shut down. We are venting the engine.
Spark 637 acknowledged.
We are getting acknowledged commands from the lander. Standing by for confirmation from Dr. Crane.
And just a recap of some of the timelines so far today, we had power descent initiation start about 25
FM
minutes ago.
3406 acknowledged.
Power descent initiation is the braking burn that really committed us to coming down to our landing site today. We were targeting landing at about 11:30 a.m. Central Time, so about 10 minutes ago now. Again, still just standing by for some confirmation from the teams in Nova Control, and hopefully a picture that shows the status of Athena on the lunar surface. Landing site today is Mons Mouton. It is the furthest south target for any landing up into this point.
And pretty credible images we just went through. You know, for those to come down during
Spark 638 acknowledged.
During that landing sequence, showing during that deceleration burn, just about 10 meters, I believe that was, over the surface for those images. Let's see who we have in there. Yep, down towards the bottom right-hand side.
Spark 639 acknowledged.
Of your screen, we keep hearing those acknowledgments of the vehicle receiving our commands as we stand by for the real deciding factor here. Never a dull moment, Leah.
We did hear that they were going into
Spark 640 acknowledged.
Commanded landed ops. So can you walk us through some of what that means? I know that includes safing the engine as well.
Right, so there's different modes that we need to command, right? At the beginning of PDI, we hear the command for exec mode, all right?
Spark 641 acknowledged.
That's executing the burn maneuver, right? When we switch over into landed ops, it's a different setting on the lander in order for us to go through those steps, safing the vehicle first and foremost, that liquid methane, liquid oxygen engine.
Yep, bring it down. Also, FM, I'd like a recommendation on whether or not we keep Talos 1 up or if we bring it down.
It's going to be a decision on up and down for radios based on
Yeah, bring it down
power.
for now. We're taking the same pictures.
I would not recommend powering down Talos.
He did say pictures.
He did say pictures, yes. So, hoping to see the status of Athena on the lunar surface soon.
We might get
were
a
initially
picture,
expecting the
from
pictures would take a couple of hours to come down as the flight teams prioritized downloading data and safing the vehicle, but this will help us better understand the configuration of the lander.
Spark 642 acknowledged.
Every time we hear Michaela come on the tunes
Porter,
there.
can you zoom in on this view?
So they're getting pictures earlier than they thought they were going to because
Actually,
they want to find out
view.
what's going on with the lander.
Acknowledged.
Getting all these acknowledgments coming through.
No, take task down.
All right, we're going to see here. Looks like Tim's
Star
got a good
tracker's down.
spot. Keep powering down things that we're not using anymore. Mission director looks like he's looking up at the screen, maybe they're looking at a little bit of data that we do not have in front of us. Still standing by for confirmation. But we've heard a few steps go through the process, venting the lander's system, hopefully pulling down data inside of mission control, confirming Athena's status on the surface. And then finally, it sounds like we've heard a couple mentions of pictures. We've shown a couple from that descent stage. And we're just going to keep standing by, looking into Nova Control here in Houston, Texas, just down the street from Johnson Space Center, to find out the situation inside of the IM-2 mission with Athena's touchdown. Again, that was about, nominally, the touchdown time is about 14
Spark
and a half
645
minutes ago.
acknowledged.
Still in contact with the vehicle right now. We know the vehicle has shut down. Its engines are powered down. We are getting acknowledgement transmissions to the vehicle.
All right, team. Keep working the problem. We're shedding power as fast as we can to keep the vehicle in good health. We are generating power. We are communicating through our telemetry radio, and we are working to evaluate exactly what our orientation is on the surface.
They don't know
Spark
how it's oriented on the
acknowledged.
surface.
Spark 648 acknowledged.
So good confirmations there, right? We know we're getting acknowledgement. We're sending things to the vehicle. We're safing the vehicle. Now it's time to start
Spark
working the challenge of
647
how
acknowledged.
is the vehicle? Which way is it pointed? Earlier in the show, we talked about the different antennas on the vehicle and trying to work those, but we are charging, which is a very key element to this mission. Looks like the room's filling up with our subject matter experts. Just continue working on this challenge to see where we stand.
Spark
Bring them back down.
649 acknowledged.
If you see
DS is back in low rate.
You see folks walking on the bottom right hand of your screen underneath the camera. That's because the room's situational awareness is about a 65-inch TV sitting underneath of there. So what they're pointing at could be data, could be confirmation. A little hard to see from this view, but as you see people exiting the bottom of your screen on the bottom right, there's a television monitor there that's helping them make some decisions.
This is Intuitive Machines' second attempt
And
at
as we
landing a
cross
lunar
over, it's
lander.
been about 30 minutes since time of ignition for PDI, and we just hit 16 minutes since our nominal landing. If you're just joining us, we know we are sending commands to the vehicle. We have shut off equipment that has not been necessary. We know that we have an engine that has been shut off. We've commanded the vehicle into surface operations. We just heard from Dr. Tim Crane that we are generating power. We're turning things off that are no longer required. We heard one of them being the star tracker. It's one of the tools that we use to figure out Athena's position in space during flight. We're in landed ops. Now we're just standing by to hear what the full situation is. About 16 and a half minutes since nominal landing time, and a little over 31 minutes since Athena commanded her final engine burn.
Spark
PDI.
651 acknowledged.
Like you said, Josh, we are
Order,
communicating.
go ahead and turn on the displays for all the antennas.
Last year,
So
their
you can see
lander
everyone looking up at the
fell
screen
on its
here.
side
So when
on
they're calling
landing.
back to order, that's actually
Spark 652
in the
acknowledged.
back left of the bottom right monitor. They're changing screens inside the room, situational awareness, television up front, right in front of the mission director. You just asked to pull up the antenna configurations, trying to figure
Spark
out
653 acknowledged.
which one's pointing back toward Earth, which might be the best one to use. Towards the top of the show and during PDI, when things got a little spicy, we talked about multipath, Leah, and that's something that we expect to happen on the South Pole. It's something we learned from during IM-1, quite frankly, with Odie. Being on the surface and radio waves taking multiple paths to
Spark
get to the same
654
destination.
Again, last year their lander tipped on its side when it attempted to land. This year, we're watching this now. They're not sure what the status is. They're not sure what the orientation is of the land. They're communicating with it. They said they're going to get some photos soon, sooner than they thought. They've prioritized getting
Multipath
photos.
exists down on the lunar surface just because there are so many different ways. So during
Spark
IM-1, we were
655
sending out
acknowledged.
signals that were bouncing off the surface, bouncing off of craters, and making their way back to Earth. We took I think it was a Saturday and a Sunday to learn a little bit more about the multipath situation. You mentioned, Leah, Odysseus ended up breaking a leg and then laying down gently on the surface, but that communications does create a problem between multipath and learning about those things. Inside of Intuitive Machines' Lunar Data Network, It's comprised of ground stations all over the globe. The largest one of them
being... Good work so far. What else we got?
The largest one's down in Australia. That is the Parkes Observatory. They call her Mary Yang down there, but that really is what helped us pick up those weak radio signals for IM-1. That's not the dish we're on right now, but it seems like we do have a great connection from the vehicle. I believe that dish we're using right now is GHY6 in Goonhilly, but I don't have that confirmation right in front of me.
AD, this is Prop. Can you confirm what is getting powered down?
Everything we can right now, Prop.
Copy.
Some viewers have pointed
out these systems aboard the lander because it does take quite a bit of energy to land, but we did hear good confirmation that we are also generating power.
Yeah, all these commands that are going to Spark. Spark is code for avionics, right? It's where our power is being allocated on the lander. And we've heard a lot of confirmations of things being turned off. We heard Dr. Crane say we are generating solar power. At last check, we heard Mission Director call out to look at the antenna configuration on the room's situational awareness model screen, and we're still standing by to see where this is going to go.
Intuitive Machines stock is down about 11%. It has gone down.
Yes, power down the cosonics until we're ready to use it.
With the issues with the landing. By the way, police have said that there is no evidence of any type of active shooter after the first sweep of Pensacola Navy
time today. Again, we were expecting that around 11:30 a.m. Central. Teams in the room in Nova Control. That's here at Intuitive Machines in Houston, Texas, just down the street from Johnson Space Center, continuing to evaluate the status of the spacecraft. Continuing to communicate with the spacecraft itself, and just waiting for potentially a photo that would help us confirm its orientation.
I'm just going to wait one and listen in for a couple cues coming into the studio here. Bear with us, folks.
Intel Point Alert posted a video clip, a news clip of police saying there's no evidence of any type of active shooter after the first sweep in Pensacola at the
joining us for the
Naval Air
IM-2
Station,
missions landing coverage. I want to go over a few things we do have coming into the studio, into our ear, that we can confirm while the folks are working inside of Mission Control on their own challenges, but a couple things that we do have that we can confirm. Athena is on the surface of the moon. The team is going through the process of powering down systems that are not required. We heard the mission director call out that we do have solar charging, so we continue to hear them in our ear that they're turning off different systems that are not required. We are working to figure out the orientation of the vehicle, which is important because those are our antenna systems that will determine how much signal we're going to have and when we can start bringing down things like vehicle health data and other images that can help us to confirm. But we are communicating with the vehicle. We've heard throughout our intended landing time, through now different call outs, making it to the vehicle. We have direct communications contact, and we would tend to bring out some more information as we continue to assess this dynamic situation inside of Mission Control. We intend to have a press conference at 3 o'clock Central Time. That's 4 o'clock Eastern. We'll do it right over at Johnson Space Center, Leah.
That's right. Thanks for joining us today.
And we'll have plenty of other information if anything else comes out on our website, as well as our X feed to keep everyone up to date.
I guess
Thanks for joining us,
that's the
folks.
end of the stream. What happened to the photos? Well, that's the live feed for you. All right, they ended the live feed. So, oops, sorry. Let me just fix the headline here. So I am not a space expert, which I think is probably fairly clear. But what I can tell you, and what you just heard, is that, oops, the Athena lunar lander, it did reach the surface of the moon. So it's on the surface, but They don't know its orientation. They don't know the exact status of it. They've been trying to figure it out. They said that originally they were going to wait a couple of hours to get photos because there's other things they would normally prioritize, but they were prioritizing getting some photos because they don't know exactly what's going on with it. And they just ended their live stream, and they say that they're still figuring out what's going on. I'm going to read some comments. So it sounds like maybe there was a problem with the landing. This is their second attempt at landing a lunar lander. Last year when they did it, the lander tipped on its side. What do you guys think happened? Josie thinks it tipped over again. And Saskia says that was a bit disappointing. Jonathan Sharp thinks it crashed. Billy Joe says it technically landed. That right there is not a picture. That is a graphic representation of what it's supposed to look like from the NASA website. That is not actually from today. Let's see here. Robert Allen thinks it tipped. Our viewer. VOC thinks it tipped. Let me check a couple other things here. But it didn't really sound promising. It did not sound promising, what we were hearing on the live stream. Yeah, they don't even know. They don't know the orientation of it. They don't even know which way it's pointing. A says it's not looking good for the landing or the stock. So we've been covering this. NASA has this program where they are hiring private companies to send landers to the moon, and one of them landed successfully on Sunday from a different company. That was the Blue Ghost lander, if I have that right. Today was from Intuitive Machines, which attempted a landing last year, and the lander tipped on its side. This was their second attempt, and this lander, it was supposed to eventually, one of the things it was going to do is do a search for water and do some experiments in a crater near the south pole of the moon to try to assess whether there's a lot of water there, as might be suspected, water that astronauts could use in the future for, I believe, like things like drinking water and maybe to make rocket fuel out of. But we do not know if they will actually be able to use this thing at all to do any experiments, because we don't know what the status of it is. I'll show you really quickly the stock chart. I'll pull that up here. This is from Yahoo Finance. Here, look, here's the stock chart from Yahoo Finance. So you can see it was going along today, the stock around like in the mid-13s. And then with the landing issues, it has dropped 16%. Cherry Cola thinks it's a bust like last year and cut broadcast just like last time. I think we covered this last year. S. Green says, I thought they had pictures. They said they were getting pictures. Have we seen have they gotten them? I don't know. By the way, a quick thanks for your support. Read the Freaking Comics, Civlap, The Silver Sergeant, Dewey 1851, Free Air, Kenneth Colton, Monarch, Diane Feinstein. She says, do you think it was bungled? Well, it certainly doesn't sound promising. Kafka on the Shore, Wendy, thank you. Also, Tanger62, thanks for subscribing. Lucky Norm and Crazy Yoda, thanks for subscribing as well over on Twitch. And Cherry Onken. One of the viewers said, what's the difference between this and SpaceX? So SpaceX is a different space company. This lander went to space on a SpaceX rocket. But this is not, Intuitive Machines is not an Elon Musk-owned company. I follow some different space experts and journalists, and no one's really saying who I'm following that they have any particular idea of what's going on. Susie Irish says a lot of money and reputation down in a quick minute. I do wonder. I don't know, you know, like obviously, I think it's obvious, but it seems to me that from everything I know, it's not an easy thing to land on a lander on the moon. But I do wonder if this is if this something went wrong with this landing, it's their second failed landing. I don't know how the contract with NASA is. If you're NASA and you're giving out contracts, would you be less likely to continue with Intuitive Machines if they had a second failed landing or not? I just don't know. I don't think we're going to be on the air for the news conference. I'm not going to stay on. Did they say it was 4 p.m.? Let me just check some of your other comments here. One of our viewers said, yes, we were watching last year. Yeah, I think we were covering this last year. One of the viewers said, I think this might have happened last year where the video ended the live feed and we didn't know exactly what was going on. Last year, what happened, I'm going to read you a summary of what happened last year. Last year, this is from an AP article from, I think it was from today. No, an AP article from last week said that last year, the Intuitive Machines lander, which is the same type of lander as today, made the first U.S. touchdown on the moon in more than 50 years. But an instrument that gauges distance did not work. And the lander came down too hard last year and broke a leg, tipping onto its side. Intuitive Machines had said this year it had fixed the issue and dozens of others. A sideways landing like last time would prevent the drone and a pair of rovers from moving out. NASA's the drill that's in the lander, also needs an upright landing to pierce beneath the lunar surface to gather soil samples for analysis. I believe this is something like, what is it, NASA is paying, NASA paid Intuitive Machines $62 million for this mission, according to AP. Yes, Katsy says NASA always likes to have a backup for everything. Blue Ghost was successful and they will use them as primary. Yeah, I mean, so I believe part of this whole program NASA has to hire private companies is to have multiple different providers. Casbolt says you covered it last year. We debated together whether a crash landing counts as a successful landing. Eliza Jane thinks that I was going to read Eliza J's comment. Eliza Jane thinks NASA should build the landers themselves. Yes, I am planning on covering the SpaceX Starship launch today, which is supposed to be around 6:30 is the launch window is when it opens. Just an update here about Intuitive Machines stock. Yahoo Finance says that Intuitive Machines stock is now down about 21%. And it started going down around, started the big drop around the time of the landing issues. Thanks to Dodger Blue for your support. Hang on a moment here. This is the program under which NASA, oops, I can turn this off. This is the program under which NASA hires Intuitive Machines. CLPS, Commercial Lunar and Payload Services. NASA is working with several American companies to deliver science and technology to the lunar surface through the CLPS initiative. These companies bid on delivering payloads for NASA. Under Artemis, commercial deliveries beginning in 2023 will perform science experiments, test technologies, and demonstrate capabilities to help NASA explore the moon as it prepares for human missions. That's how this program's supposed to work. And the point of the program, hang on a moment here. You can see here from Wikipedia, it's a NASA program to hire companies to send small robotic landers and rovers to the moon. The first one was that got there was the Intuitive Machines attempted landing last year, which landed on the moon but flipped on its side, tipped on its side. And you can see down here it says, the competitive nature of the CLPS program is expected to reduce the cost of lunar exploration, accelerate a robotic return to the moon, accelerate a robotic return to the moon, sample return, resource prospecting in the South Polar region, and promote innovation and growth of related commercial industries. Now, one of our viewers said, well, maybe they'll just go with the Blue Ghost technology, the Blue Ghost lander. That landed successfully on Sunday. You might argue that, hey, having multiple companies try to figure out how to make a lander, is helpful because you can see which one works the best. To repeat, there is no evidence that I have seen of any kind of active shooter at a military base in Florida. 44 minutes ago, Intel Point Alert posted a TV interview of the police saying there is no evidence of any type of active shooter after a first sweep of the building. Oh, did the U.S. Navy post something? Let me see. Hold on. No. The Navy hasn't posted in 50 minutes. The police have said that there's no evidence of an active shooter, and I've heard nothing after that. If I hear more, I'll let you know. Oh, what happened to their website? Did they post anything about it on the NASA website? Let's see here. Hold on. No, they haven't posted something for a while. It's amazing how fast that thing decelerates. I think they were saying it decelerates at 4,000 miles an hour. Thomas Darwin thinks NASA is not happy. So I guess, I don't know if we'll have an update before 4 p.m. I do not know. Oh, I do have an update about the school in Maine. 11 students at a Maine school were taken to the hospital after they fell ill in the cafeteria. And there was a report of a gas leak at the school. But I don't know what actually ended up happening. 25 News Boston said investigators are unsure what caused the incident. All of the injuries are minor. All of the injuries are minor. That's according to 25 News Boston. In Scarborough, Maine. What do you guys think happened to this thing? Did it tip on its side again? I don't know. We'll take a few more comments. I wish I could tell you more, but I can't. I don't have any more information. They ended their live stream. They ended the stream. I'm just going to read some comments here. You know, we did a poll, will the landing be successful? And so I think that poll was, I think on Twitch, over 80% said yes on Twitch, and I think it was 100% on Facebook, and then Twitch and YouTube was over 80%. Our audience was confident. I was hoping it was going to work. I think I was confident it was going to work too. I mean, you never know, but Jonathan Sharp thinks it fell into a canyon. Thomas Darwin thinks it's laying down and not usable. A Lord's Watchman says NASA took their stream and went home. MF Creations thinks 92% chance it tipped over. Blake Reckenbach says it's charging, so maybe the panel is facing up at the sun. Did they say it was charging? I missed that. I know they said it was on the surface. Total 11TY says they said it was generating power. I think I do remember that. They did say it was charging. Okay, they said it was receiving solar power. But I also don't know, I mean, clearly knowing that it was receiving, that it was charging does not tell them the orientation, because they said they don't know the orientation. Generic Cat says solar power still works sideways. Yes, and as Toast and Loaf says, they were communicating with it. They didn't lose it. They had communications with it. Oh, I wanted to mention, there's this idea that you can produce produce water. In theory, one thing they could do with water from the moon is produce rocket fuel with it. One of the big experiments that this lander was going to do is to check for water and do some experimentation to show something about maybe the presence and the amount of water in one of these craters near the South Pole. Google AI says that moon water could produce rocket fuel by it says a process called electrolysis, in which an electric current would split the water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, which could then both be used as a rocket propellant when separated and liquefied. Oh, one of our viewers said the space station uses this. Interesting. I didn't even realize this. So I'm reading an article about the space station right now, and it says, maybe I can show you this. It's interesting. I was trying to show you the NASA article about it. But for example, Australian Broadcasting Corporation says oxygen is made by running electricity through water. On the space station. Google AI says the space station generates oxygen primarily by using a process called electrolysis, in which electricity is run through water to split the oxygen atoms from the hydrogen atoms, which creates breathable oxygen. Interesting. You can see here also from this article, from NASA right here, spacecraft oxygen recovery. Water is the chief source of oxygen in the International Space Station and future long-duration human missions. Very interesting. Let's see here. Well, Agrajog TV says H2O, the O is for oxygen. Thanks, Chris Bryan, for being a member. Again, so we've been covering this landing of this Intuitive Machines lunar lander, which NASA paid for, but it was made by a private company, and it reached the surface, but it's unclear what happened to it. Look, we have an article right here. Private lunar lander touches down on the moon, but its condition is unknown. A privately owned lunar lander, supported by NASA, hired by NASA, touched down near the moon's south pole today, but as the minutes ticked by, flight controllers could not confirm its condition or whether it was even upright. That's from AP. The last time Intuitive Machines landed a lander on the moon a year ago, it ended up sideways. The company's newest Athena lander dropped out of lunar orbit as planned, carrying an ice drill, a drone, and 2 rovers. The hour-long descent appeared to go well, but it took a while for mission control to confirm touchdown. It looks like we're down, said the mission director. We are working to evaluate exactly what our orientation is on the surface. Athena was communicating with controllers and generating solar power, officials said, but 20 minutes after touchdown, the mission commander was still unable to confirm if everything was all right with the lander. NASA and Intuitive Machines abruptly ended their live landing without webcast. promising more updates at a news conference later in the afternoon. Okay, team, keep working the problem, said the mission command director and co-founder Tim Crane. Intuitive Machines last year put the U.S. back on the moon despite its lander tipping on its side. Another U.S. company, Firefly Aerospace, Sunday became the first to achieve complete success with a commercial lunar lander. A vacuum on that lander has already collected lunar dirt for analysis, and a dust shield has taken off the abrasive particles that cling to everything. So there you go. That's the lander right there. That is a picture that the Athena lander took approaching the moon. Confidence in God says it was kind of strange they cut off the live feed so quickly. Richard R. says, it should be known whether it's vertical or on its side, not difficult, surely. You know, I don't know what kind of instrumentation they have on it. You know, so perhaps there's restrictions when you send something up there. I guess what you're saying is, can't you put something on it that would just tell you the orientation? Which is an interesting question. My guess is that if it was easy, they would do it. So, John Miller says gyroscopic instruments. I don't think they're hiding it from you. I don't think it's the case that they just know what the orientation is, and they're going through a pantomime publicly of trying to figure it out. But it's a good question. Ben Westgate thinks the company is probably going to lose funding for 2 failures. Hang on one second here. Sadi says our member Sadi says, Sadi BB says the machine was in fact not as intuitive as hoped. Read the freaking comics says landed is relative, nice and soft, or as a pile of junk. Civlap thinks they are creating conspiracy theorists fodder with this abrupt end. Kenneth Colton says, I need more power. Well, guys, what can I tell you? I don't think it's promising. Birdman says it added a new crater to the moon. I don't think it is promising. But I'm not going to wait till 4 p.m. Here's what we'll do. Here's what we're going to do. Give me a second here. We'll do one more check on the stock. Intuitive Machines stock is down about 20%. I wonder if we do the 5-year, I'd have to go back to the day. It went, I think if I remember right, the stock had a big move last year when it tipped over on landing. But I don't remember exactly. But anyways, for today, clearly had a big move when the issues with the landing came up. Our viewer Keyzan says if it was upright, they would know straight off. So we're going to cover later. Our viewer Renton says, after 2 failures, say goodbye to some funding. It is incredible, though. I mean, we were watching it. It's it goes from miles above the surface quite quickly to it decelerates, and then within minutes it decelerates and attempts to land on the surface. But it's going incredibly fast. Again, they said it decelerates, I think, at 4,000 miles per hour. So it's pretty crazy that they can do it. I mean, with the technology, we get close to doing it. I mean, the one on Sunday worked. But, you know, we're planning on covering the SpaceX Starship Flight Test 8, the test launch of SpaceX Starship. And we tried to cover that a few days ago, but they scrubbed the launch at the last minute. So that is supposed to, the launch window opens at 6:30. So I assume maybe we'd come on the air like an hour before that or something like that, 5 or 5:30 or something. So that's my plan, is to come on. And I'm guessing maybe by the time we come on for that, we'll have an update about this. Kevin Grove said, the idea that we landed on the moon with astronauts is astonishing to me, especially back then, and then returning to Earth safely. All right, guys, I think it might be our time to start wrapping up this stream, but I really appreciate you joining. Sorry we couldn't. Oh, Tucker Carlson is, I guess, broadcasted or is broadcasting an interview with Sam Bankman-Fried. Watcher Guru, who I follow, just posted a clip of that. Well, anyways, that's going on. If you look up, is he posting it? Tucker Carlson has posted the interview on his X page. An interview with Sam Bankman-Fried. Anyways, I really appreciate you joining the stream. Sorry we couldn't give you news of a successful landing, at least not yet. I mean, who knows what they'll say. Sorry for a couple of moments where I got a little confused. I think it didn't help that I was trying to follow the Pensacola news at the same time and get you stuff about updates about that. But anyways, I appreciate you being here, and thanks for writing in and sending updates, sharing your space knowledge, letting me read your comments on the air, and I enjoyed watching it with you. Lazarus White thinks it's waste of money, way too unpredictable. I don't know what the estimate on this stuff is for how much expert. What is the expert estimate? Like, if you ask somebody at NASA at the start of today, what is the chance of this successfully landing? I don't know what number they would have given you. It's a good question. I mean, with the money they're spending, I don't think they're going to say 1%, right? They're probably going to say it's pretty high. But honestly, they know that there's a chance it might not work. Or Intuitive Machines, if you ask them. So I don't know what going in it is thought that the percentage chance it'll successfully land is. Thomas Darwin thinks 50. Anyways, they did get one of the two landings done successfully this week. Oh, thank you, Gordon Gott. Gordon says, I wonder if they could see it with a telescope. You know, the problem with that is, isn't it in the dark region of the moon? I don't know. I don't think it's completely dark, actually. Well, the crater it was going to go into, the drone was going to go into, was dark, but it wasn't in the crater yet. So I don't know. It's a good question. Good question from Gordon Gott. Thomas Darwin says maybe a space telescope. Yeah, it was in the South Pole areas where it landed. Anyways, the plan is to be back on the air. Big space day here. The plan is to come back on the air later this afternoon and cover the SpaceX Starship launch. That is a launch where part of it is going to be catching the booster back in the chopstick arms, and they're supposed to do some testing of the Starship spacecraft. The launch window is 6:30 p.m., so we will come on probably 5 or 5:30 p.m., and we'll have the live SpaceX stream for you like we did last time. So I hope you can join us for that. If there's other big news today, we'll come on the air for that. So I really appreciate. It's about probably be on the air in about 3.5, 4 hours. I really appreciate you guys coming here for this broadcast. Subscribe, follow the channel, Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. Also, I will post updates on X if I see them while we're not on the air. My X account is here, @Lookner. You can follow me there for breaking news updates on X. I'll post if I hear stuff in the coming minutes. And turn on notifications for the channel, because I never know when big news is going to happen and we're going to have to rush on the air. So turn on the notifications so you don't miss a stream. We have free notifications. They work great. You get a notification every time we go live. We do it through Discord. The mods will post the link to sign up for the notifications. You can also find the link to the notifications right in the description of this video on Facebook and YouTube. Also, huge thanks to our moderators for being here. Moderators are awesome. They are the ones who allow us to even have chat rooms. So thanks so much to them. Ruth Krafasi, Beth Mythical over there on YouTube. Thanks so much for being here. Beth Ski, all of our other YouTube moderators, thanks. Linda Belk, Larry, X, Misha over on X, over on Twitch, Big Ball of Yarn, Matthew Kohai 3, Surly Dev. And on Facebook, Paul Anderson, Margaret Riley, there was some, Charlotte Webb. Thank you, moderators. Appreciate all of you. Thanks also to everybody who donated to the channel. It's so nice of you guys. Thank you. Chris Bryan, did I thank Chris Bryan, our new member? Dodger Blue, and did I thank Dodger Blue and Joy Cordova? Thank you. So nice of you. I really, really appreciate that. Your support is what keeps this channel on the air. If you ever want to donate, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But thank you again so much for your support of the channel. Captain Jerry Donnelly thinks the live stream cut quickly to save stock prices. That's what Captain Jerry Donnelly thinks. Thanks Captain Jerry Donnelly for your support. Stock is still down about 20%. Brian Birch says, was it a hard landing or a software issue? We don't know. They don't know exactly what's going on with it with the spacecraft, and also they don't know exactly the lunar lander. They don't know exactly what happened. We don't know. We don't know what happened. If as it looks might be the case, it did not land successfully, we won't know why that is. Okay. We have a chat. You can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. We do it through Discord. It's free. Check it out. A lot of our viewers like doing that. It's the same link as the notifications link. So check out our Discord chat. Thanks to our Discord mods as well for all of your help. I'm just seeing if there's any other reporting here. Yeah, we still don't know. By the way, another good way to find out when we're going live, follow us on X @AgendaFreeTV. For those of you who are on X, I post when we're going live, I post updates about the channel there @AgendaFreeTV. And also, if you watch on, yes, Uncle Floyd says, thanks to the experts in the chat. There are a bunch of people in the chat who know a lot about space flight. I appreciate you guys coming to the stream and posting. Hey, for the people who watch on YouTube, just a heads up, I would suggest turning on the notifications on YouTube. Another good way to find out when we're live. But if you want to turn on the YouTube notifications, what you got to do is after you subscribe on YouTube, you got to click the notifications bell and choose all notifications. So if you are subscribed on YouTube, make sure you have the bell clicked and you've checked all. Oh, thanks to Richard Foley for your support. That's so nice of you. Thanks, Richard Foley. And Ellen Bridges, our new member. Thank you, Ellen. Hey, thanks to our Twitch subscribers for supporting the channel, like Wall Street and Shaggy, Sketty Sandwich, Matthew Kohai 3, Annie Cush, Billy Joe. Also, Jack's Animals. Thanks for subscribing. And Integrity Farmer Bob, Agrajog TV, Sketty Sandwich thinks we will know something soon. Thanks for subscribing, I Am You Are Me, as well. Thanks also to all of our other Twitch subscribers. Thank you so much. Thanks to our Facebook subscribers like Eve Richards, Lou Green, Sharon Klassen Goslin, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Robert Rial II, all of our other Facebook subscribers. Really appreciate your support over there. Did I thank Paul Anderson for running? I think I thanked Paul. Thank you, Paul. And our YouTube members like Eric Johnson, Wickedest Witch, B. Earhart, Evelyn in Maine, Macro Geek, Thomas Darwin, Danny G, Truth WSYF, Natasha Snarf Magoo, CAC 813, Confidence in God, Howie DeWitt, Francie Ari Kriegbaum, Pam Turner, Firestar 789, UV Lightning, and our other viewers like Beetlejuice. Thanks for watching. AKF, our member. Sir Tim 94, David Rauschenbach, Paula Thompson, Jamie Rowland, and Shaka Laka Boom Boom, Snitzel, I'm the Batman, Uncle Floyd, and everybody else for watching. Thank you. All right, so sorry we couldn't bring you news of a successful landing. Who knows? Maybe they'll say it was successful. I don't know. It's not looking promising. As of right now, lander on the surface, status unknown. Seems like there may have been some issues with the landing. Issues with the landing. So I'm going to wrap up this live stream. Really appreciate you being with us for our coverage of the lunar lander attempted landing on the moon on this big space day, because later this afternoon in a few hours, planning on coming back and giving you live coverage of the SpaceX Starship launch. Actually, and during this stream, we actually showed you live the launch of that European rocket, the something 6. I forget the name of it, but we showed that too. I believe that launch was successful. Just double check. Ariane 6 rocket. Yeah, we showed you this. Look. Ariane 6 rockets were skyward carrying a French military reconnaissance satellite. That's from AP. The first commercial flight for the European heavy lift launcher. So we got to see that as well. All right. Thank you so much for joining. That's it for now. And we will see you soon with more live coverage. If nothing else, we'll see you in a few hours, hopefully, for the SpaceX launch. That's it for now. See you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.